Under the same moon, we share the love, embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spreading peace and joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world share in love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Watching the World. We have a great show in store. We're going to have a little bit of debating. We're also going to have Calvin come on later and actually break down some things if some questions arise that are legal. All right. But tonight I aim to really show you guys some key points in regards to the Karmelo Anthony case. I put a lot of time into this case today. And today, one of my main objectives is to show you that my notes are on point. No doubt about it. I'm going to show it to you. I'll make you a believer tonight. I'm also going to solve the problem about the two videos. I took a lot of time to really put it together. Now, keep in mind, I'm not the only individual that's in the court. You also have Neek at night. She's in the court too. We don't sit beside each other and compare notes. We are independent witnesses, and she does an amazing job. Even at the Diddy trial, she is phenomenal. So tonight, I guarantee you that after you listen to everything that I put together for you, you'll have a better understanding about, is there two videos? Is there one video? Are people seeing the same thing, something different? But I'm going to establish this at a very high level so you can come to a reasonable conclusion about what we saw in court, also what we heard. I want to ask that you guys hit the like button, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'm also going to put together a video format that you could be able to share with other individuals that's going to break down the case step by step so you can really help people understand just how insane this case was in many cases, right? All right, so let's get to it. It's very important that you try to stick around today of all days, because when Calvin comes on, if you do have any questions, it'll be a good time for you to ask, because he has been doing his own homework and research when it comes to this case. And we have a lot of new knowledge about this case from talking to so many different people. But we're going to start off, and I want to establish a point to you guys how even for people that are inside of the courtroom, sometimes they come back with a different narrative. I also noticed that when it comes to mainstream media, sometimes the big anchors, right? They have all the whistles and bells when it comes to the media. In fact, they have a screen where they could actually read from the teleprompter exactly what to say about the case. You know, the YouTubers, we struggle, but we plan to upgrade to be more efficient. In fact, tomorrow I'll be covering the Knicks parade in New York City. And all of those winners, they're going to be coming down the parade, and you guys will get a chance to see myself and Darkel. We're going to cover it, the next play. He's going to cover it at a high level from the sportscast system that he's put together to educate everybody about sports. But let's get to this case. It's very important at this time also that you take notes so that you can kind of understand. So if you don't mind it, do me a favor, if you appreciate the hard work that I've been putting into this case. Udo on Go, I'm looking for you to come up after I get done with this series in probably about an hour. If you could do that for us, good brother. Check out Udo on Go. We cover cases together. We catch each other back. If you mess with Udo, you got to see me too. That's how we roll, right? That's how we roll. Anyway, We try to do things peaceful, right? But we're just saying we're in New York, so we go back to back. If something goes down, I know Uda got my back, right? And I got his back. That's how it is. Anyway, get a white sheet of paper because I really want to break this down because I know that there are some of you that really follow this channel and you really want to know about this case and you don't want to walk around and have this cloud in your mind of like what's true and what's not. Tonight is going to be that night where I guarantee you're going to walk away and say, wow, this was a great show. I'm glad he really broke this down. I want to start off, right? I want to establish the fact that my notes are really solid, okay? So this is what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to, on your white sheet of paper, I want you to write what I've been telling you over the last week. First thing I want you to write down is that at 9:54, Austin arrives in the tent, him along with Hunter. Okay? If you want to have freedom and truth, tonight is your night. I'm going to give it to you and I'm going to do a great job at it. Okay? 9:54, Austin arrives in the tent. Okay? And I might give away some money tonight. So if you can remember the points, I'll do that at the end. Okay, so at 9:56, Carmelo arrives. 2 minutes later, okay? 2 minutes later, he arrives under the tent. At 10 o'clock and 48 seconds, that's when Austin jets toward Carmelo. That's when in the court they said the fight begins. At 10 o'clock and 53 seconds, the suspect runs. They identify Carmelo as the suspect. Guys, I'm in court looking at the monitor and writing down the seconds for you guys, right? And good thing I did that because now we understand it was 5 seconds that the fight happened. Who knew that the world would be in a storm? Oh, there's two videos. Oh, there's a reindeer in the sky. Oh, there's Santa Claus. Okay, there's all sorts of things happening about the case. That's not a particular jab at anyone. I'm just saying so many variables with the case. At 10:05 and 30 seconds, that's when roughly the police and the ambulance arrive. So is everybody with me today? I see Stella is here. I hope you guys are actually keeping the notes. I intended to make this so only subscribers could comment because we do not want. I'm sorry, guys. Let me fix this because we're going to have people coming in, creating all this, talking this monkey talk and chimping. We're not down with that. So I have to pause the show for a minute. Let me fix that. We can't have people coming in here talking that colored folk talk. We don't hear that. We're beyond that now. Okay, so let me fix that. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to fix that right now. We won't have any chimp talking tonight. Oh, let's see. How do I do that? I have to... Give me 1 second here. Customization. Here we go. Subscribers only can comment. All right. And you have to be a subscriber for the max. Okay. So tonight, only subscribers are going to be chatting because the Rough Riders come through talking all that yin yang. Today they were talking junk to the girls, and you know I don't stand on that. We don't allow anybody to talk junk to the girls at Watching the World. All right. So that's it. So you guys get chill out if you want to talk that nonsense. So you have to subscribe. In other words, you should have subscribed already. All right. So it is what it is. I fixed that problem. So hopefully now the moderators can focus on what I'm saying. All right. So we have the timeline. I broke it down for you, right? Okay. So let's just do a quick recap before I start playing all the videos. I went and put all this together in a marvelous way. 9:54, Austin arrives. 9:56, Carmelo arrives. Okay. All of the individuals that are saying they saw additional video, they say Carmelo is already sitting under the tent 8 or 9 minutes. We're going to dispel that tonight. Okay. I'm also going to explain to you how it's not two different videos. It's just that in court, they showed it to us on the screen, which was normal television. And so when they showed it to the jurors, they showed it to them in 4K. It was the same probably television that they had up at the school. So the jurors actually saw the blurred version first, and then they saw the 4K version. The reason why, now I understand. See, knowledge will set you free. Now I understand why they didn't show us the video. I mean, they really could had they brought in two of these special televisions, but because they only had one television, they showed it to the jurors. I respect it, but I wish they had brought an additional TV to show it to us as well. Although I would like to have them officially answer that question. So therefore, I have contacted the court and I want some answers in regards to this case. Let's see how they respond. So anyway, 9:54, Austin arrives. 9:56, Melo arrives. 10 o'clock and 48 seconds, the fight begins. Austin, he attacks Carmelo. All right, he does a football move. We're going to get into that. At 10 o'clock and 53 seconds, the suspect runs. And then at 10:05 and 30 seconds, the police arrive. Okay, so everybody's with that. We understand it, right? So check this out. Let's get to it and understand the entire situation. Let's go.
What you want, was it appropriate, inappropriate for him to be there? But his whole point that he was making was, listen, from the beginning, I said this was not about race. I tried to, I guess, extend an olive branch by going there to meet, to talk, to.
Folks, I do not feel that this started about race because there were black and white boys there and they all were telling Carmelo to get out of there, okay? So let's just get that clear. I don't know what was in the white guy's heart or somebody's heart, but I'm just telling you that whole race issue developed over time, and we'll discuss that at a later time with criminal defense attorney Calvin Johnson, and I'm going to show you how this turned into a racial fiasco. But anyway, let's get to it.
Discuss this together, not to not make this a racial case, and that was part of his point in what he was saying in these rants on the live stream. I want to put something else up for you here because Karmelo Anthony's parents have now spoken. They went on the Breakfast Club, an extremely popular radio / podcast show. Mimi Brown said, and that's who's interviewing them. What did Karmelo tell?
No, they showed the entire video, pretty much what probably, I didn't see it, but they showed what I could hear them describing the video to the jurors, right? So we were sitting there, we just couldn't see the television. They went back through the same video pretty much we saw, but they were watching it on the 4K television that was very clear. But they saw the entire event because I could hear them pointing out and talking about. At the end of the day, when they asked the video expert about the video, they still said to a certain extent it was blurry. Okay, but we're going to get into all that tonight. So I'm going to stay focused and just push this through. Thank you.
You happened that day at the track meet. This is Drew Anthony, what he says. I mean, he was sitting there seeing his friend. If you once get the reports and everything, he was actually, he was actually, his girlfriend's cousin invited him to the tent. So they went, invited him to the tent. It was.
In court, we did not learn that Eddie invited Carmelo to the tent. The only thing they said is that they were friends. Eddie was the key denominator, right? Common denominator in this particular case because he was a friend. He was the nexus, as they said in court, between Austin and Carmelo.
It was just, hey, what's going on, such and such. It was raining. He sat there. Then the next thing you know, you have these two guys who approached him. Even seeing the video in court, it was like, I know y'all see this. And this is the part that stuck out to me, is that Drew Anthony, Carmelo's father, says, hey, listen, that video shows what happened. But the question is, did it? Okay, so let's bring in Court TV anchor.
This is the Court TV anchor. I saw him at the trial the entire time that I was there. I never saw him in the courtroom. I even asked some of the girls, did they see him in the courtroom? I didn't see him. Not to say he wasn't there, but it was just weird because I sat on different rows throughout the trial and we were going in and out. I just never saw this gentleman there. I know they have individuals that come in with a laptop and they take notes, and the notes get sent to corporate, usually with the anchors. And then a gentleman like him would just stay outside and go live continuously throughout the day and give updates. Typically, that's how it works. The anchors don't really go into the court and take notes. They send someone in, but he's saying that he was in the courtroom. I didn't see him, but we're going to just leave it at that. I just overlooked him, I guess.
Cody Thomas, who was there in Texas, was there inside the courtroom and actually saw this video, because this is the problem, right? We had no cameras in the courtroom. The evidence hasn't been released. So the public is going by what people are saying. And there are a lot of people out there with an agenda on both sides who can describe what they believe they saw. Cody, you have no agenda other than telling us what you saw and what you observed. So why don't
Okay, so he said that he was in the courtroom, and now he's breaking down what he observed. Notice in this frame, actually, they sat a little bit different in court. There was 2 jurors that would sit on the front row, and then there was 8 and 8, okay? So a total of 18. So you have 12 jurors, and then you have 6 alternates. The consistency of the jury was 10 white men, 5 white men, 5 white women. You had 2 Middle Eastern women, 1 Middle Eastern man. You had 4 Asian women and 1 Hispanic woman. Okay, so that's the total of the 18 complete jurors, just for those who want to be able to document that just as I did. Okay, so let's get to it.
you describe for us what you saw when the video was played and what was testified to about that video? Because this is an important piece of evidence. And, you know, you've got people saying that it's very clear in the video what happened here.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the most important piece of evidence. It's kind of
This is key, what he's going to say. All right, this is very
the
important.
crux of the whole case here. But the thing about this video, Vinny, and the prosecutors admitted this before it was presented while that forensic video analyst was on the stand, is that the video is not the best quality. It's, first of all, it's one of those, you know how a football stadium is set up and you have the big tall light posts that light the whole stadium.
He is absolutely correct. He's right on the money.
It seems like it's a camera on one of those light posts on the opposite side from where everything's going down. So
Yes, sir.
when it's zoomed out, it looks pretty good quality. But when you have to zoom all the way in like this on a little blip, you know you're gonna lose a lot of pixelation there. It's gonna be really grainy. So they zoomed in, and you know now it looks like video you see at like a 7-Eleven. It's real grainy. You can kind of make out what's going on. You can see the yellow memorial tent. But again, they admitted there's no.
The yellow memorial tent was Austin and Hunter's tent for their school. Okay, so that's important to note that.
Real distinguishables here. You're not seeing facial features. You're not seeing the logos of brands on clothing. So it's just a low quality video. But you see at one point in time, you see in the bleachers, you see the yellow tent. It's kind of at the center mass of the video. And then they zoom out just a tad so you can see Karmelo come up out of what's like the tunnel of the bleachers. You know, when you come up and you go sit around, he's coming up from.
So all week I've been telling you guys Karmelo came in through the gate. He's calling it the tunnel. But when you go to a concert, you have to go out the gate in order to obtain a drink or go to the bathroom. That's what he's describing.
Under there, you see him come there and he stands there for a few seconds, and then he's walking towards this direction. So the tent's right here. He's walking towards the tent here. He's there at the tent for around 2 minutes. Then eventually you see Austin Metcalf and his 3 or 4 friends who are walking from the middle school where they were visiting their.
Okay, so this gentleman here says that he was in the courtroom, but he's telling the opposite of what I said. He's saying that Karmelo went to the tent first. Remember, I told you Karmelo came in 2 minutes after. He says he was in the courtroom, okay, but he has it backwards. He's putting Karmelo first, and then he says Austin arrives. Pay attention, because I'm about to set you free. Check it out.
Coach for a little bit that morning. They're walking from the opposite direction. So Karmelo's here for 2 minutes. They get there, and then the whole ordeal goes down in like 4.5 to 5 minutes. But under the tent, you got to remember there's a whole team under this tent. You can't see rainfall.
Okay, so I need you guys to document what the guy from Court TV is saying. He's saying that Karmelo came 2 minutes before Austin and Hunter. Okay, that's very important. He is with Court TV. Okay, so just keep this in mind when I show you the next artifact.
All you see is there's people under a tent. They look like these humanoid blobs. You can tell they're human beings, but it's just a bunch of masses.
What he's saying is correct. You see a blob, you can't really identify, like he said, you can't see the labels if they have Gucci on or Prada. You can't see what their team label is on their sweatshirt or something like that. So he's right on point about everything else.
Right? You're not looking at who's sitting down, who's standing up, especially if they're intermixed in there. You know, maybe if they're at the front, you can see if they're sitting on the bleachers, but all in the crowd, you can't really see much of anything. And then what the media analyst highlights at one point in time, you see kind of one of these darker figures. There's like a jolt.
I've been telling you guys that, right? So all of the people that have been denying me, saying, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, can you take it from Court TV? Could you take it from Court TV? He's telling you the same thing. We didn't see 4 people jumping. We didn't see anything. None of the testimony that came through the court talked about 4 people jumping Karmelo. Everybody was consistent, at least that Austin jetted to Karmelo, and then he bounced back. He was struck. He realized he was hit. He went and fell down. This gentleman is saying the same thing.
And so they're saying that was kind of like the push. And then right after that little jolt, you see everyone disperse.
Right.
And then, of course, they spot shadow. This was Karmelo because I'm sure Memorial's team was in some dark gear because Karmelo had on a gray hoodie type situation. So he was in lighter clothing. Then you see him run off and they spot shadow him. And then you just see a bunch of disbursement. There was no, you don't see 2 hands, 1 hand sitting down, 2 people towering over. There's not really.
You hear that? You don't see 2 people towering over Karmelo. He said you just see 1 person. This is consistent to what we saw in court and what everybody testified, okay? Court TV, okay?
Any real identifiables other than there's Memorial tent, here's a bunch of people under there. This is what they say was a little jolt, which was the push, and then a bunch of disbursement. That's all you really see.
So sometimes, and I've seen this in trials, you go through a video and you may play it for different witnesses who were there. Mm-hmm. And then they, having been there, looking at the video, can kind of describe to you what's happening. Mm-hmm. Did any of that take place to try to clarify exactly what is going on and whether or not Karmelo Anthony is surrounded, whether or not a physical confrontation it's you can really tell how.
Guys, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much.
Forceful the physical confrontation initially is.
I mean, in a very minor capacity, Vinny. I mean, because you got to remember, all of these students that testified under the state said there was no sort of surrounding that was happening.
Did you hear that? There was no surrounding, no jumping, okay? This is coming from Court TV, consistent to what I also observed from the video and also from the testimony in court.
It was described as, this kind of one-on-one thing. And, actually in the closing arguments, the prosecutor was saying, they're trying to say the 2 brothers or all these multiple people were jumping on him. But on the body cam with the video, once he was apprehended, he was saying, I told him not to put his hands on me. Not I told they not to put them.
That's a key point, right? This is what Karmelo said. He did not say anything. And now when you also look out, I didn't want to show Dominique because they're trying to appeal the case. So I want to let him be. But even he's come forward to say, and he was representing Karmelo, he says Karmelo was not jumped. Okay, that's on video. All you guys have to do is go look it up, okay?
Our hands on me. So that was a big deal in the closing arguments. But there was one student that got up there who was actually on the field warming up. And so you saw an angle of, a couple of kids on the field, and you saw the angle of where the tent was. And what they were trying to do there is kind of talk about how this student's timeline of when he walked over and saw the commotion just didn't add up, and trying to kind of discredit his credibility a little bit. But no students were sitting there saying, yeah, that was me. You see me walking there, and then you see this push, and you see this person to the left, and they're moving up the bleachers. There was none of that real specificity, other than that one student on the field, just to show that his times weren't lining up when he said he walked over there, because they showed that he didn't walk at all when the moment of the stabbing happened.
So none of the witnesses who testified, right? Some of the people that were there didn't testify, but the ones who were called and testified that were under the tent, near the tent, all this, none of them could specifically identify themselves in that video?
No. There was one that, because he was kind of off to the side. We're talking under the.
They only played the video when the video expert was there. When the witnesses came in, there was no video available for them to say, hey, That's me right there, okay? Just to give you guys some context.
Tent right now where the commotion comes up. And then there's one kid that said, "You see me coming over here," but he was very isolated. You know what I mean? He had nothing really to do with the situation happening under the tent, which is, you know, why we were here in the first place. But other than that, none of them were saying, "That's me. You see me over here. You see, this is Karmelo right there. They're the Metcalf brothers." The only thing that was really identifiable was when the forensic media analyst showed Karmelo walking to the tent and then showed the Austin Metcalf and the other boys walking to the tent.
Okay, so again, he's repeating, right? He said he was in the courtroom. He said that Karmelo went into the tent first and then Austin and Karmelo. Okay, Austin and Hunter. So it's very important that you keep this in mind because the next video is going to really set you free.
Once things got to the tent, it was just, yeah, that's a crowd of people. You can't really tell what they're doing. You can't really tell that there's violence or if it's horse playing or if it's just people standing in a crowd. You can't really tell anything until they highlighted that little, they zoomed in real hard just to see this little whoop like that. And they were saying that's the push. And then
now also keep in mind that he said that once the last parties came into the tent, everything was just going on. And then he said about 4 minutes or so to 4 to 5 minutes later, that's when all, as they say, breaks loose, right? That's when everything happens. That's a key ingredient to what he's saying. I want you to document that on your paper if you are taking the time to write this down.
3 or 4 seconds after that is when all the, you see kids running in every which way. You see Karmelo run 3 or 4 bleachers up, and that's where the knife was found about 3.
So the tent, let's say, it's very important for you guys to understand Karmelo wasn't sitting under the tent. He was sitting one row behind the tent, still being rained on. When this happened, even though the prosecution said that he ran and tried to hide to throw the knife, actually, or the multi-purpose tool, the prosecution say knife, the defense say multi-purpose tool. Okay, I showed you guys what it looked like, but for the sake of this argument, I want to show you guys right now what we're dealing with. This is the tool. This is the tool that was shown in court. So let me show this to you guys real quick. Let me see if I can find it. I want to show it to you to dispel some of the rumors, if I could show it. And maybe I can't right now. I wonder why. Okay, so I'll have to come back and try to, I'm not sure why I can't show it. I've been showing it. Okay. Anyway, I'll make an effort to show it to you again. I'm not sure what the deal is. Let me try something else. Hold on 1 second. Give me 1 minute. It's very important that I show you guys this. Let me see what the deal is here. Okay, here we go. Good. I'm glad I tried again. Here we go. All right, so this is the tool that was used. You see, it says Ozark Trail 6-in-1, right? It's a multi-tool. It says knife with light. Okay, the one he had, I wouldn't say it had a light. That wasn't my focus. But what's key here is that what he used had a 3.5-inch blade on it. And this is, if you notice, even the big channels, they kind of get this right. What also you need to understand about this is that when they showed it, because there comes a point in the trial where they show the evidence to the jurors, they didn't bring the real knife to court that had the blood and bones on it. Usually, like for other cases like Luigi Mangione or Diddy's trial, they pass all of the artifacts and evidence around. In this case, they bought a replica, which is pretty much synonymous with this that we're seeing. So there's a big debate online whether it's a knife, multi-purpose tool. I'll let you guys carry on your debate. But I just want, for those that follow Watching the World, that you guys can get an idea of what we saw in court. So we're going to move on from that. Let's get back to this here. Let me take this down. Give me 1 second, please. Okay.
More bleachers up from where the stabbing happened. Then you see him run down and he's running towards the track and they zoom out and they show him just running near the fence line. But other than that, no one's sitting there saying, "That's me, I was here." It was just their account of what was going on, but not related to the video, because we only watched the video at the beginning of the trial before some of these witnesses took the stand. The video was not.
Guys, Calvin is going to be on later. You can ask him about the knife versus the tool. He's a criminal defense attorney in that same courthouse, so he can tell you at a better level. He's an attorney, okay?
Played with every single witness. You know what I mean? So that wasn't the crux of the direct examination by the state once those student eyewitnesses took the stand.
Okay, so did the defense use the video that way at all? Did the defense show the video to the jury either during argument or during
No.
a direct or cross of their own witness or another witness and say, this is where Karmelo is surrounded?
They didn't do that at all. And, there's been a lot of criticism regarding the defense of Karmelo Anthony here with, 6 witnesses, a couple of student witnesses, one of those student witnesses that actually admitted that he believed Karmelo was the aggressor, a defense witness saying that. But the defense didn't use the video in any capacity, which, they didn't do that. They didn't explain even why he had a knife in the first place, which I thought that was something they would try to harp on a little bit, just saying, he had it because he liked to go camping. He had it because, you had to cut nylon if you're setting up the tent. They didn't even touch on why the knife was even there.
In the opening arguments, the defense said that Karmelo enjoyed camping, but they didn't make the connection. It was weird. They never tried to argue why he had this in the first place.
There seemed like a lot of missed opportunities and holes in the defense's case, and especially after they ended somewhat abruptly. But to your point, Vinny, the video was not shown during the defense's case in any capacity.
And did they have any witness, either through their cross-examination or the direct examination of their own witnesses, who described?
Yes, there were 3 people chasing him when he was running away. That's accurate.
Karmelo Anthony being surrounded or being confronted by a group.
Nothing group, nothing like that. There were multiple people. They all kind of described the same situation. They got into there. A lot of people were asking him to move. This is defense's witnesses now. Just want to reiterate, asking him to leave. They saw commotion. They're looking around. They weren't scared. They just thought it was 2 boys, kind of going at it, saying whatever else to each other. But it was all
2 boys, not a situation of, I'm not going to say a gang, but a group of individuals, whether it's 2, 3, 4, sort of surrounding or physically confronting or intimidating all at the same time, all standing up and kind of getting around him.
None of that was testified to.
Neither did we see it in the video. So he's from Court TV, right? But this is minor. What I'm going to show you next is going to really tie this together.
There was testimony about Karmelo was still sitting and Austin was standing up, but it wasn't Austin and Hunter. It wasn't Austin, Hunter, and X, Y, and Z and all this different stuff. It was more so just those 2 boys, whether Karmelo was standing or sitting. The defense says he was sitting. That's the fact they were going on in the case, trying to say that, Austin was towering over him and Karmelo was trying to be calm and everything. But every account was that it was these 2 boys, nothing more.
Okay. So here's another question. And this is a bigger picture question, right? And obviously at Court TV, we believe cameras should be inside every courtroom in every case across the country. It should not be denied, but it is. Everyone has their own rules. Here in Texas, it's judicial discretion, so it's up to the judge to decide whether it comes in or out. If there was a camera inside that courtroom, do you think it would be clearer to the community, to the public, exactly why he was convicted?
Absolutely. If the public had transparency and heard just the sheer preparedness from the prosecution, every time the defense tried to get the ball rolling, the prosecutor had something ready to go. And in the way he presented his case, Vinny, I mean, I know you're a former prosecutor. You understand how these strategies work. It was very simplistic and digestible for the jury. For example, the defense called this one witness who was a student who knew Karmelo, went to school with Karmelo, and talked about, there was an argument about the tent culture, how tents were like locker rooms and you shouldn't be under them and this and that.
Sometimes they would change their clothes under the tent, some of the guys.
This student was saying, no, track meets were very social. I'd be under the tent for 15 minutes with some of my friends if I saw them. I've actually been under the memorial tent with Karmelo. So he's going through all of this different stuff. And then the prosecutor gets up on cross-examination, is like, oh, so, they're very social. Yes, sir. If someone asked you or asked you to leave their tent, would you have stuck around? No, sir. I wouldn't. I probably would not have done that. So, I mean, there's the answer right there, right? Just simplistic questioning. Are you surprised that a knife was at a track meet? Yes, sir. Knives don't really come to track meets. No, sir. Were you surprised that, your teammate was the suspect here? Yes, sir. Just all of those sorts of simplistic, no matter how the defense tried to paint something. And, there were some moments where I was like, okay, the ball's rolling now. And as soon as the prosecutor gets up there, it's like, it's almost like he was trying to play more of the common sense, sort of play here. But I think if cameras were in there, public transparency always, as you said here at Court TV, is always important when it comes to these trials, so the community can understand and, not be so polarized. I mean, of course, there's going to be opinions and judgments on both sides, but I think it would have helped them see why this conviction came and he was ultimately sentenced to these 35 years.
That morning.
Okay, guys. So this is the moment we're waiting for, right? So Neek at Night was in the courtroom too, and she's taking notes. We're all taking notes. We did the same thing for Sean Diddy Combs. She's very sharp, on top of her game. She's very smart, have a strong following, and most people find her to be quite credible. Okay, so I started off and I gave you guys the timeline, right? This guy from Court TV, we agreed with pretty much everything except the fact that he said that Karmelo arrived to the tent 2 minutes before Austin and Karmelo. In court, I documented it very well. It was the opposite, so maybe he got confused, okay? Austin arrived. As I told you, he arrived at 9:54, along with Hunter and some other boys. 9:56, 2 minutes later, Mello arrives, okay? His attorneys kept calling him Mello in court. At 10 o'clock and 48 seconds, the fight begins. Austin attacks Karmelo, okay? At 10 o'clock and 53 seconds, they say the suspect ran. The suspect is Karmelo. At 10:05 and 30 seconds, the police and the ambulance arrive. Now, keep this in mind as we peer through what Neek at Night had to say about it. Check this out. She's going through her notes, and she's going through her notes every evening, each day of court. So this is probably Thursday evening, I believe, that she's actually doing this, okay?
Frisco ISD, the track meet was set to begin. Austin was there with his brother, along with the other Centennial school for the track meet. Karmelo, he was there with his brother, and then Karmelo was along with Centennial at the school for the track meet. The coach sent a text to Austin that he needed them to step up and help. The rain began to fall. Some teams went to
the coach had kicked Austin off the team, and then the day of, he sends this text message telling him he needs him to be a leader, okay? All right, that's what she's talking about.
Buses, some were on the field, some with their teams in the tents. 6 minutes in the murder, Austin and his brother, 6 minutes before the murder, Austin and his brother entered the tent.
Okay, so what did I tell you guys, right? She says 6 minutes before she says the murder, Austin and his brothers entered the tent. So I told you guys at 10 o'clock and 48 seconds, that's when the stabbing happens, okay? If you go back 6 minutes, I told you guys all week, I said at 9:54, Austin and his brothers entered the tent. So you see, she's backing up what I said, okay? You follow that? I just want to let you guys know my notes are tight.
You will see normal activity in the tent. 2 minutes after.
2 minutes after they arrive, right? Check this out.
Austin enters. Karmelo is visible. He makes a beeline into the memorial tent.
Okay, there you go. Neek at Night says that, she says at 10 o'clock, he's stabbed, right? He's murdered. She says 6 minutes prior, 9:54, Austin and his brothers enter the tent. I've been telling you guys, that's 9:54. I also told you guys at 9:56, Karmelo enters the tent. She just substantiated everything I've been telling you all week. She says, let's go back through it real quick. Let's check it out.
The coach sent a text to Austin that he needed them to step up and help. The rain began to fall. Some teams went to the buses. Some were on the field. Some with their teams in the tents. 6 minutes in the murder, Austin and his brother. 6 minutes before the murder, Austin and his brother entered the tent. You will see normal activity in the tent. 2 minutes after.
So here's the key. You have to write this down. you will see normal activity in the tent. There's a narrative going around that some guys they walk from a distance. They're very dedicated. They look like they're kids on a mission. They go right to the tent and they start to attack Karmelo. But notice what she said. Once they arrive, it's normal. The Court TV guy says for 4 to 5 minutes is normal. You see kids just under the tent. You see people walking by, okay? So it's important that we're putting these facts together.
Austin enters, Karmelo is visible. He makes a beeline into the memorial tent. You will see more normal activity in the tent. The other kids asked, why was he there? They treat the tent like a locker room to protect valuables from theft. Austin steps up to tell him to leave. After several people told him to leave, Austin took the bait. Okay, so he's basically shaping it as like Austin was baited by Karmelo.
Okay, so guys, I've been telling you all week. I gave you the illustration about the duck and how they do the duck calls when they're hunting and they blow the whistle and then the duck comes and they shoot it. That's what the prosecution is trying to say. They're trying to say that Karmelo was baiting the guys. Austin took the bait because they tried to say Karmelo says you guys suck ass, okay? And Austin, remember Hunter said he responded first in the video with his mother, but he said his brother Austin, who others describe as the protector, he was the first one to run toward Karmelo, right? So this is what she's basically saying.
Because Karmelo didn't listen to him when he said leave. So that was Karmelo baiting Austin into hitting him.
I've been telling you guys this all week, okay? I just want to let you know she's matched up my notes to a T. She's also substantiated that the guy from Court TV had his information backwards. I don't know why. I can't really speak on that.
Mark Porter, he is a forensic video analysis and he works for the district.
So now notice what she's going to explain why there's a discrepancy in the video. I've been telling you guys, but Nick at Night, this is golden what she did. I mean, she is marvelous. Check this out. She's going to explain why people are interpreting two separate videos.
Attorney and all of the prosecutors, anyone who needs assistance with like video enhancements or trying to identify suspects in videos and things of that nature, he's their go-to guy for them to like look at video, enhance video, and you know, all of those type of things. And so he said that there was going to be 5 different video angles.
We saw the angles
that they were going to produce for us to see through him. It was going to be exhibits 5 through 9. They offered that. It says that they wanted to know like, oh, what was the quality of the video? So they asked him like, hey, you know, what is the quality of the video? And the guy said that the video was in 4K.
Okay, so that's the key part. The video from the day of the event was in 4K. Okay, so they have special equipment to be able to help you see across the stadium, all right?
The prosecution wanted us to know that 4K video, just because like it's shot in 4K, doesn't mean that the TVs will show it in 4K. So he said that he was going to bring in a special 4K TV so that they can see it in 4K.
Okay, so you see what she's saying, right? The people, number one, that went to a special place to see the video, they saw it in 4K. Okay? They had a special TV there. Everybody's talking about it. In court, when they showed us the video, they showed it on regular TVs, and that probably contributed to a measure of why it was blurred. Okay, but we're also going to learn later, I'm going to show you that even what they saw at the school, when the school allowed you to get on the list and come see it, that it was blurred too. Okay, so in essence, what I want you to know, based on what she's saying, the jury saw it in 4K, we saw it on regular monitors. That's why when I told you guys after we took a break and we came back into the courtroom, they had the special TV in front of the jurors, and I told you the attorneys went and sat beside them. But here's the point. The jurors, and we could hear everything that was being said. So as they were describing, they were basically describing the same videos that we had saw in the morning, right? But they also, even though it was in 4K, they put a bubble around Austin and Hunter to show exactly everything they were doing. They did not put it right under the tent. Okay, so that would give you the explanation of why we saw something different than what the jurors saw. Okay, the jurors actually saw the same thing. We surmise that the people that went to this event at the school to see the special television. But keep in mind, the jurors saw the blurred version that we saw probably, and they also saw the 4K, so they would have known if it was the same video. I hope you guys can understand, because she's going to break it down even more a little bit later, but we're going to keep moving and look at a lot of different witnesses.
Okay, so
that's Nika Knight. She did a great job. Go support her. She is so amazing. She covers these cases at a high level, and I really appreciate how she broke this down, because I think it helps everybody to understand how this is shaping up. So now we're going to look at some of the individuals that tell their story about what they saw. And I'm not here to dispute what they saw. I think it's very important that you factor in the whole picture. Okay, so let's move on to that. This is the first gentleman. I met him. I did some video work with him. I haven't released it yet. I interviewed this gentleman. Let's get to it.
Was it clear enough, or was it fuzzy, or what?
No, it was clear. It was clear enough to where you can see the actual individual raindrops come by the camera.
Okay.
That's how clear it is. You actually see.
I could see the raindrops as the boys were walking from the middle school headed to their tent. You could see the raindrops coming down. I would imagine that in the 4K video, you would be able to see it more advanced, because that's the purpose of the 4K.
Them walking up. You see that Karmelo is already up under there. He's under there minding his business.
Dodging the rain, or?
Yeah, it was still raining. You know,
right.
I'm from Little Elm. So that day we were under a tornado watch.
Right.
And we were under thunderstorm warning, and we know we had already had some light rain then, and it started raining again. Then it was over with for the day.
Okay.
So that's kind of what happened on that day. But they were at a rain delay already, and so during that time when that happened, the twins, their two buddies, and a few other kids, because there was a few kids involved with them, they were all coming from the direction of the middle school.
I want to make this clear. We're going to listen to some individuals that have come forward recently to tell us what they saw in the video, but we're also going to go back a year to some other individuals that actually went to the same event at the school and actually saw the same video. And we're going to just play all of them so you can come to your conclusion, maybe perhaps how this is working out.
Right.
Coming walking back up.
Right.
On the video, you can see those four that actually was involved, and maybe about 3 or 4 others that was with them, skipping up, trying to catch up behind. One veered off probably toward his way to go to.
So he's saying the 6 guys are walking toward the tent. That includes Austin and also Hunter. And he's saying some of the guys veered off.
The coach, and kind of distract them a little bit. And then
he said someone went to distract the coach. Okay, keep that in mind. Write that down. He said someone went to distract the coach.
Other 4 came walking together. One went in front of them, went past.
Right.
The other 4 went and they surrounded Karmelo. You know, if you're Karmelo.
And they showed it on it.
Okay, so he's saying that these boys, 4 boys, went straight to the tent and they surrounded Karmelo. See, now we have a conflict from what we saw in court. Okay, so you have to note that. That's where the conflict. Remember, I'm going to break it down. The guy from Court TV said basically there was a 4 to 5 minute after Austin and Hunter arrived. There was 4 minutes that nothing was really happening. That's consistent to what I have here in my notes. At 9:54, Austin arrives, right? And then Karmelo comes in at 9:56. At 10 o'clock, that's when the fight breaks off. So there is a chilling moment or period where there's nothing happening What this gentleman is saying, and I'm not disputing him, maybe he saw a different video. Let's be clear about it. I can't tell somebody else what they experienced. But he's saying they went right to work on Karmelo. Okay, so we see the difference. Neek at Night explained it too in her notes. You can go back if you're just coming in. She explained, she wrote in her notes that there was a calming period after Austin and Hunter arrived. It wasn't like these boys just came and went to work on Karmelo. Okay, so you have to put all this together. I mean, I really took the time to put this together for you guys. I hope you appreciate it.
Video.
It's on the video.
Okay, come on.
You can see them walk
I'm gonna
up.
say little
And
stuff.
I'll put
while
it
you
this
talk.
way.
Okay.
They actually tell you when you're watching the video.
This is the most important part of this video. He's saying what I've been saying. He's saying that whoever's working there is telling them what they're seeing, right? Notice that. That's very important. So that means probably there was another white lady that went to see the video too. She says, yeah, they told me this, right? It's almost like when people tell you stuff, they send you in a certain direction because you don't, like in court, maybe in court they were misleading us. I'm just saying in court they were telling us, which it made sense, that was just Austin just running. It was consistent with the witnesses, so it all jived together. Okay, but listen to what he's saying.
Pay attention to this corner right here, because if you look,
I'm gonna go back a little bit.
you can see them walk
I'm gonna
up.
say little
And
stuff
I'll put
while
it
you
this
talk.
way.
Okay.
They actually tell you when you're watching the video. Pay attention to this corner right here, because if you look anywhere else, you might miss different things.
Okay.
So watch those four. Here, there are four right there coming up.
Right.
That's exactly what they say.
Okay.
And so you have no way to be confused that it's those four.
See, he has no way to be confused because the people working there are telling him, watch these four boys and what they're gonna do, and they're telling, because the other girl said the person told her where Karmelo was sitting, and they put that Karmelo was sitting in the tent 8 minutes before Austin and Hunter came. Well, we already learned. Neek at Night substantiated what I had learned in court too. Okay, so you have two witnesses saying the same thing. What she said matched what I've been telling you guys all week.
Okay.
So they come up, they surround them, and this immediate moment of not even a few seconds of pause, then that's when they jump. And so
they
was,
actually did jump him.
yeah, it wasn't just no touch, it wasn't just all that moment. Yeah, it was a push, it was all kind of things. But Austin pushed, Hunter hit, and then everybody swung. But at the same time,
So it's
Karmelo,
more than the twins that got some licks
all
on
four.
them. So it showed that in the video.
Yes, in the video. So again, you got Hunter and Austin standing in the middle,
Okay.
and you have the light bright boy here, and you have the darker boy here.
Okay.
I think that's what I remember. So I have to go back and think about it. But that's where they were. One was going up and down while they were talking and kind of pushing or whatever he was doing. Austin and Hunter was in front. So where they're talking about grabbing bags, Hunter actually said that I grabbed his bag.
Right.
And then later on, he said that Austin threw.
I have the video. Hunter actually says that Austin grabs the bag. So before we leave, guys, remind me to show you the video where Hunter actually says Austin grabs the bag. It's very important that we're factual.
the bag.
Okay.
Jeff also said the same thing. And so that's them both
You can still win by being factual. That's very important to know.
antagonizing. And we
Right.
know under Texas law, I just have the fear that you're about to do something to me and you can get up out of here. Yeah, so you ain't
So he says, I just have to fear that you're going to do something to me and I can get you up out of here. We're going to ask Calvin about that, the criminal defense attorney, when he comes on. So Stella, help me remember that. Okay, thank you.
touch me. But at that point, he still stood there and stopped there. And whatever they say alleged was said, you don't know that until they get into it here. But once they did that, they start hitting them. Karmelo actually was able to.
Now, keep in mind, all the testimony matches up. And I'm going to show you even the guy from News Nation that saw the same video, that all of this happened in 5 seconds, right? That from what we saw in court. So the only other explanation is that he's seeing a completely different video. And again, I'm not disputing that. I'm just telling you what we saw versus his testimony. And we're going to look at a few other people as well.
To back out and try to get away. So he was actually trying to get away the first time. Austin grabbed him, and you can see his hoodie coming out like this, and they brought him back in.
So in the video we saw, you couldn't see any of those type of details, okay? I mean, this is very dramatic what he's saying. He's seeing all these details. It's very important that you note these details that he says he can see at the um, school, okay? When they allow people to come in and check it out.
And when they brought him back in, that's when you can see Austin put him in a headlock. You can see
All right, so he sees Austin putting Karmelo in a headlock.
that all the rest
Already somebody's grabbed the other guy by the shirt. I mean, this is going on. We're way beyond 5 seconds.
of them are still hitting. That must be when the poke happened, because he was able to get out again. He backed out. He looked to the right. That's where the other little kid was filming, because they got some cell phone footage too. But that's where he was filming.
Okay, so notice that he says he looked to the right where the other guy was filming. They have some cell phone footage too, okay? Keep that in mind. So he has a lot of details that he's seeing on this video, okay?
He looked directly at him in his camera, and then he went this way to the left. He went down, he fell. And that's when they realized he was
That's consistent. He went down, he fell.
gone, because they were still punching. And when he fell, that's when they all turned around. They started chasing him. Austin tried to go chase him too, but he grabbed his chest. I guess he realized that
Austin did not try to go chase the guy. See, we're getting into the weeds. We're so far into the weeds. Austin was on his way out of here. He fell back down, and you saw, I'm going to show you where he landed at the base of the bleachers. He was not running after anybody. So this is getting a little weird, but it is what it is.
something happened to him. And that's when he went down a little bit and he fell down. But all three of them were chasing. But Karmelo was so fast, he got away and went around to the coach. And so you can see them on the video pointing toward Karmelo and the coach. And I can imagine, because Karmelo.
It was three guys chasing. One turned back. There was testimony that Hunter was chasing after Karmelo, and he turned back, all right?
Out of the camera on that moment, that he was telling the coach what happened. And then that's when Hunter said he whipped his head around.
I mean, this is like a movie drama, the way he's telling the story. We didn't see most of this stuff in court.
That's a true statement.
Neither did we hear any of the testimony from any of these 21 people that came through.
He just wasn't sitting with you. He whipped his head around. You see him on the video. And that's when he walked over to where Austin was, but he never touched him. So all that stuff about him rendering aid and holding his heart, and not, he never did that, because the coach grabbed him.
He did. One of the coaches testified. He used to be in the military. He said he had to pry Hunter off of Austin. So that's misinformation.
And he was holding him. So at the end of the day, that's kind of where the moment went. But they did assault him, and we'll just play the game. Even if it was just a push, you still assaulted him, because it was unwanted by your own definition and your word of him saying that, leave me alone.
It wasn't just a push. The young boy, I told you his name started with an H. He testified that Austin hit Karmelo with a lineman's drill. That's a football move. Jay, who testified right before him, he's a little black guy from North Carolina. He just moved there for college. He testified that Austin started to pick up Karmelo. So you need to understand these facts. Imagine somebody picking you up off of your feet. Capello, you got to chill out tonight, brother, or Stella's going to have you on your out of here, all right?
And I'm not going, you assaulted him, period. But they did beat him. And if you look at the, not the photo.
We're not having no black, no monkey talk tonight, or you got to go.
That Fox 4 put out, because that was one that they actually edited. I have the emails to prove it. But the actual Collin County one, you can see the webs and stuff on his eye. You can see the bridge of his nose is swollen. You can see the webs under his neck.
I still haven't seen this photo. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I think for the most part, the official mugshot that was put out, I think most people have seen it. I'm actually looking to see this particular mugshot that shows all of this damage on Karmelo. I would love to see it. I'm excited to see it.
And so that's the reason why they edited the one from Fox and kind of airbrushed it. And you can see they put the locks of his hair that got taken out as well.
Okay. All right. So now you have his testimony. Okay. You compared it to the guy from Court TV. You also compare it to Nick at Night. It's a long shot. It's a long shot. So evidently there's two separate videos, or there's something going on according to what we're learning from individuals. We're just comparing what was said in court. All I can tell you is what's in court. I cannot judge a person or say somebody's making something up. It's not my job to do that. I'm just simply trying to help you guys to understand. You're going to also hear from people that saw the same video that he saw, and I want you to pay attention, but it's going to be a long night, so sit tight, but make sure if you follow along with me, I'm going to set you free.
Have with us is people who actually saw the controversial video of Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony, and they're going to speak to that. They're going to speak to exactly what they saw when they introduced their public information request. And I think that you're not going to be surprised by what they saw, but we want to make sure that we get this information out to the public. So we'll start with.
So that's why I told you guys to take notes when the guy from Court TV came up. Neek at Night, man, this girl is so amazing. What she did in her notes, it really substantiated that I've been telling you guys, right? It gives you a little more credence in the things that I've been telling you, right? Because people come in and they say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. But now you have another witness, right? Uda, tell them how we do it. Uda takes notes too. If we can't, and Uda always gets the transcripts. So we all compile our, from our own angle, but we come out with facts. We don't just come out here and give you a story.
T. Sturdy.
Okay, here's another witness.
Hi, my name is actually Tony
I actually talked to this gentleman. He's a good man.
Sturdy. Again, I was one of the ones that saw the video. It's kind of bewildering that it doesn't align with the testimony that was presented. What I saw in the video was four little. What I saw in the video was actually more than 4 kids. There were 6 kids.
All right, pay close attention. I'm going to break it down for you.
We can hold it. Okay. Yep. Hold it. Yeah. There were actually 6 kids that walked up in the stadium. 2 splintered off. 4 went directly to Karmelo Anthony. And there was a brief conversation.
You're going to start over, sorry.
All right. Start over?
Yeah. That's clean. Let's start from the beginning. Keep your voice up.
All right. Yeah, so again, my name is Tony Sturdivant. I was one of the individuals that put in a FOIA request to see the video.
I want you guys to take your white sheet of paper and write this down, that what he's saying lines up with the last gentleman that came up, that these guys are going to walk up and they're going to get to business right on Karmelo, okay? Check it out.
What I saw was starkly different from the testimony that I heard given in the trial. There were 6 kids that walked up. 2 splintered off. I guess that part of was introduced in the trial where they went to deflect the coach. The other 4.
You guys can't hear him? Are you having a problem? Put a 1 in the chat if you can't hear him. Let me know what's happening here. Can the moderators, Mashona, can you guys tell me? Can you guys hear the video okay? Hello? Can somebody answer, please? Can you guys... I can't turn up the volume. These are all independent videos, so... Okay. Unfortunately, this is the highest I can go.
Walked directly to Karmelo Anthony. There was a brief conversation, I say maybe 20, 30 seconds.
Okay, so he's saying they walk up in 20 seconds right to Karmelo Anthony. Now, keep in mind, folks, according to my notes and also to Neek at Night, Karmelo was not even in the tent. Okay? So, again, he's saying, and this is not at this gentleman. He probably saw what he saw in this video that they're saying is fake. But Austin arrived at the tent at 9:54. Neek at Night solidified what I'm saying. Okay, there's no debate about it now. At 9:54, at 9:56, Karmelo arrived. So according to his testimony, Austin and the boys are walking up. Guess what? Karmelo is not even there yet, according to what we saw in the video and along with the testimony. Okay, so this is going left already.
And from there, a scuffle ensued. It didn't last long. Karmelo backed out the back of the canopy. He looked one way, looked to the left, and flew down those bleachers. Now, this is the video that was presented to us. This is the questions that I have, though.
In the video that we saw, you would not have been able to see Carmelo turn his head. But at the end, after this is very important, guys. I want you to write this down. And when I get the transcripts, I'm really gonna go in. So if you stick around, when I get those transcripts, we're gonna have a problem. But anyway, and we have Calvin, who is a criminal defense attorney. We also have Candace Kelly. She was supposed to be on tonight. She is a law professor. You see her all over the place on Roland Martin and places, but she's going through graduation right now, so she couldn't be with us tonight. But she wanted me to tell everybody that she's sorry she missed, but she'll be here next week. She's so amazing to break this down. Okay, so we're going to be covering this at all angles, but I want you guys to note what happens here further.
Why wasn't that video presented in court? And is it the true video? Because again, it's starkly different from the testimony given in the trial. Karmelo Anthony flew down those bleachers, fell at the bottom of the bleachers.
That's true. We saw that part.
Got up, took off. It was maybe 2 or 3 kids.
And we knew because he had on, we didn't know because of really the face. We knew because of the clothes that he was wearing. It all matched up. And also it matched up with all of the testimony, even the defense. The defense says he was never jumped.
That you can see kind of give chase. But Karmelo was gone. So they weren't even going to put a finger on him and touch him. Again, there was a...
That boy could move. He was booking it, believe me.
Scuffle that ensued at the top of the bleachers, and Karmelo got it there. But I don't know why that was not brought up in court. I don't know why that was shown.
It was brought up in court.
I don't know if the ISD gave us a bogus ass video. I don't know, but that's what I saw.
Okay, so he gave his account. Now we're going to hear from a lady.
Hello, everybody. I'm an advocate for Karmelo Anthony. My name is T. And when I went to see the video, they ask if you want to see it from either 2 minutes before the stabbing or 11 minutes before. So I chose 11 minutes. From the moment she pressed play, Karmelo Anthony was already sitting.
Okay, so she's saying from the moment that she pressed play, Karmelo is just sitting there under the tent. Check it out.
Underneath that canopy. And he was sitting there for at least 8 to 9.5 minutes.
He was sitting there 8 to 9 minutes. Okay, so that's contrary to what Nick at Night said and also myself. According to the notes again, Austin arrived at 9:54. We saw it on the video. At 9:56, Karmelo arrives. Remember, Nick at Night says he kind of V-lines under the tent at 2 minutes after Austin and Hunter arrives. Okay, but under her testimony, she's saying that Karmelo was sitting there 8 to 9 minutes. We did not see that in the video. In fact, around the time that she's speaking about Karmelo, they were showing us that he was actually walking into the arena. Remember the guy from Court TV? He testified to that, okay? There was other black guys sitting under the tent. And again, it's my argument. I could be wrong, but I think these people working in that shop, they're the key in the school. They're the ones feeding people. They should have kept their mouth closed, and they should have never been telling people, this is Karmelo, this is the promised Messiah. You know, they're telling people their understanding of the video. And I think this is where she's probably, I don't know, but I'm if she thinks that Karmelo is there, or maybe she just saw a completely different video. I'm just gonna leave it at that, okay?
You see, well, I saw a boy in a black hoodie go over to him first, and then they left out of the tent, and then you see coming across the field was another 6 boys. When they got to the bleachers,
when she says she see a boy with the black on, I think that's just a random boy, because there's all sorts of people walking around in front of the tent. Even after Austin and Hunter arrive, for those 4 minutes, they show us there's people just walking around. Nothing's happening. We're sitting in court waiting for something to pop off, and then all of a sudden you see Austin by himself go at Karmelo. So let's see what she says.
he went out of frame, and the other one sat at the bottom. But the remaining 4, they went directly to Karmelo Anthony. And like T said before, it was a brief conversation, and then all you see is commotion.
Okay, so that's contrary to what the guy from Court TV said. It's also contrary to what Nick at Night said, what I testified to our video. So at this point, it's obvious we're talking about 2 complete different videos or a situation, because there are timelines here. And just as the guy from Court TV said, after Austin and Carmelo arrive, you have a good 4 minutes to 5 minutes where they're all just under that tent talking or whatever. And then all of a sudden at 10 o'clock, you see Austin jet toward Carmelo.
And we know from the interviews that Hunter did, we know that Hunter was, in fact, up underneath that tent. The next thing you see, you can see Carmelo, in the midst of them assaulting him, you can see Carmelo trying to back out, but he gets pulled back forward.
Okay, in our video, we don't see that getting pulled back forward. Okay, so let me go back again, okay? I just want to make it clear. At 10 o'clock and 53 seconds, the suspect is running. And basically, he jets out of the back of the tent. Remember now, he's sitting at the back of the tent. So you could only see under that tent. You're limited as to what you could see. But he jets out to the back. Maybe with the 4K, you could see a little bit more. But we're going to see how this develops. Let's keep moving.
Next thing you see is Carmelo. He comes shooting out the back, but he's still not standing. And he had to like kind of crab crawl backwards, and he had to like jerk away from them because they still had a hold of his hoodie. He goes up a couple bleachers and he's looking around for which way to go. He runs diagonally down the bleachers.
So we didn't see all that, obviously. I'm just giving you our reference point. I'm not saying she's wrong or anybody's wrong. I'm just comparing so that people can get to the bottom of this.
And then he falls. At the time of him falling, that's when I noticed another 3 boys coming down the bleachers chasing after him.
That's true. 3 boys came down. We could see that on the blurred video.
But once Carmelo got up, he took off. You didn't see him.
Carmelo fell, you're right.
The rest of the video. At no point in that video do you see Hunter holding his brother. At no point in that video do you see those boys ever going back to the tent and sitting down. That was all a lie. And I also have questions. I don't know how the defense did not play that video.
We could see that those boys went back to the tent and sat down in our video. Okay, so again, they have a completely different scenario.
Because when you see that,
and I'm not saying they're wrong. That's not my job. I'm just telling you what we saw in court.
Video, it was self-defense. Carmelo was only 5'8", 130 something pounds, and Austin and Hunter Metcalf were 6'1", 220 something pounds. So for people to say that he should have used his hands, people can die from fights, from people using their hands.
Okay, I want to interject here. I told you, and you guys can see my notes are proven to be true a little bit from what Nick at Night said, right? But when the guy Hudson, oh shoot, I said his name, starts with the H, he was a teenager. Anyway, when the kid says that he hit him with a lineman's press, right? And then the other kid said he was actually picking him up. What she's trying to say is that when somebody pick you up and you're on those metal hard bleachers, they can drop you on your head, and that might be your last journey, right? So you can't tell anybody his life wasn't in jeopardy, okay? Anybody with a sound mind would know, as a man, you don't want anybody picking you up off of your feet. So the defense never made the argument. These kids came in, and I'm going to show you again from Nick at Night where she is backing up. She's taking her own notes independently, and our notes are right on the money, okay? So we're going to get to that another night. Tonight, we're focusing on the video.
And that's all I'm going to say for right now.
So I want to say that this press conference is for people who saw the video, because we want to make sure that we get that information out there. The other thing is that we have noticed major disparities when we look up statistically the sentencing structures that Judge Roach sentences minorities under. There's at least a...
Nobody in the media is talking about the fact these boys came in, right? Everybody, the mainstream media is just saying, oh, he went and touched him on the shoulder. I saw the little white boy, his name started with an H. He clearly showed, do you know what a lineman's drill looks like? I'm going to show you guys the picture, right? But also, Jay was very important. I mean, very intelligent guy. He went off to college, little black kid. He said Austin started to pick up Carmelo. Okay. I'm not going to break it down like I did today at lunch, but if you want to know the details about this, all happened in 5 seconds. So, well, I might as well do it real quick. According to the testimony, real quick, the kids say that Carmelo had his backpack on his shoulder. When they started to argue, he put the backpack in his lap and he put his hand inside of the backpack. And the prosecution said that he had that knife open the entire time. He opened it with his thumb. It was one of those thumb reliefs. I showed you guys earlier in this video what it looks like, right? It's not some little fingernail file. You got to come off it and stop passing misinformation. Okay? So imagine this. Um, we see in the video very clear, Austin, not clear, but we can identify, and in court they identified that Austin was jetting toward him. It happened in 5 seconds. So if you have your hand inside of a backpack and somebody's running to you in 5 seconds, some people say he came from at least 2 bleachers. Some said 1, but dig this, he came in and he sat right behind Hunter. So he was sitting there. Most of the kids said he was sitting right behind Hunter. Hunter turns around when he hears him say, "You guys suck ass," or something like that. Anyway, if you go back and you tie it into Hunter's testimony, not his statements in the video with his mother, he says a boy walks up and he hears him. He starts talking to us and he's talking crazy or whatever. And he says, I turned around and I was like, get out of here. There's other black kids that came in and testified. They told Carmelo to leave. Okay. Another black kid, right? His name starts with a T. He said that when he saw Carmelo sitting there with his hand inside the backpack, he told Austin, don't do it. Leave him alone, basically, because I feel like he got something in the bag. You know what Austin says? He says, I don't believe he has a knife. We're in Frisco. This is courtroom. I already showed you my notes are solid, right? Neek at night, her notes are right on the money with me, okay? And we didn't even talk much while we were at the court. We haven't even talked since, okay? But anyway, give her a shout out. Go support her. She's amazing too. So now you guys have the setting. I want you to tell me. The kids say that Austin was aggressive. Eddie, right? Eddie says that, and I hate to keep repeating myself, but I want to get this clear. Eddie says that Austin came at Carmelo so hard it knocked him out the way. So that's not consistent to what these other kids are saying. That Austin just went and hit him on the shoulder, said, whatever, move out, whatever it is, right? No, he was moving with force, and I saw it myself when I look at the video. Okay. And that's what these other witnesses, the guy from Court TV, he's telling you Austin is making the first move. And this is happening, according to what I told you in my notes, this is happening at 10 o'clock, right? This happens at 10 o'clock. They start fighting in 48 seconds, okay? By 10 o'clock and 53 seconds, the suspect is running. So in 5 seconds, okay, so you got your hand in a bag. This boy is coming to pick you up or whatever this is what the kids say. It's not my words. I could care less. I mean, it's not my situation. I'm just telling you what's in court, right? You can interpret it any way you want to. I'm going to show you what Nika at night goes through her notes, and you'll be able to, the same thing I did tonight. I'm going to do it again until we get this understood. So a guy coming at you, number one, you got to gauge his movement. If he's a football guy, he can move fast. So in 5 seconds, how do you think he pulls his hand out the bag and he turns it this way, obviously, whichever way to, as they said in the opening arguments, they used the word thrust it into his chest. But keep in mind, he's running. Austin is running. And we heard in court that the knife went to his bone. So imagine he has to pull out the tool, right? In court, they call it a knife. The defense says a multi-purpose tool. I want to make it clear. I'm just telling you what both sides are saying. He pulls it out, okay? And I showed it to you what it looks like. And there you have Austin in 5 seconds coming. If you try to do this with someone, you'll see just how difficult it is. You got to gauge that he's coming to you. you got to grab it out the bag and point it toward him. He's coming. He gets to the point where the boy says he starts lifting him up. Austin never even knew he was hit. And then he realized he was hit. The kids say he started screaming and he fell backwards. And those were his last moments. And what he got was non-negotiable. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm just giving you guys that little tidbit, and we're going to keep moving. I want to show you now other individuals, okay? Other individuals that went to the same place, and they're going to tell you what they saw on this video that everybody has all this contention about. So this is a slow process, but if you hang in there, you're going to see, you're probably going to understand this better. Let's get to it.
One who was inside of that courtroom listening to these opening statements. No cameras, but we have our eyes and ears inside of the courtroom. Cody Thomas joins us now live outside of the courthouse in McKinney, Texas. Cody, good to see you. Tell me about.
Now I'm going to play Cody again, but I'm going to play him from, this is when he came out of the courtroom. He claimed he was in the courtroom, right? We're going to listen to his testimony again after listening to these other individuals. I think it's important. This is going to be the nexus to help you understand.
Those opening statements, first of all, what was it like being inside of the court?
We've heard that Karmelo was under the tent because he was seeing somebody he was familiar with. Touch me will be cool, implying that, you know, everything's fine. I understand there's a verbal altercation going on.
Okay, I'm going to play the whole thing.
Inside of the court.
I'm going to just play this whole thing. It was only a minute and a half before he gets to the actual point. But let's play. I don't want anybody to say you were holding something back.
Cody Thomas joins us now live outside of the courthouse in McKinney, Texas. Cody, good to see you. Tell me about those opening statements. First of all, what was it like being inside of the courthouse for those?
Well, yeah, Julia, as we know this judge is really laying down the law inside that courtroom, being very strict on how people go to and from the courtroom and about, you know, us as media using electronics. He even admonished members of the gallery for whispering to each other, saying if he caught somebody whispering again, I didn't see anybody whispering, but, you know, he just said if he saw that again, they'd keep them out. He kicked them out permanently. But, Julia, to touch on those opening statements, of course, the prosecution is continuing the narrative that we've heard from the beginning since April of 2025 that Karmelo Anthony was under that tent for no good reason. He was just there, and then Austin Metcalf and his friends came up to approach him to say, get out from under the tent, to which Karmelo Anthony, the prosecution says, got aggressive, reached in that bag, pulled out a knife, and stabbed Austin Metcalf. But the defense in their opening statements painted a different picture. They began by humanizing Karmelo Anthony, talking about how he had 2 jobs in high school, how he was, you know, a brother, a son, an oldest brother, how he was a 3.7 GPA A student in school, just really painting him out to be a good human being before diving into their version of the facts of the case. Now, of course, we've heard that statement from eyewitnesses, or a witness on the stand, or not on the stand, in the
guys. I think it's YouTube that's timing you out. I can see you. I don't think you're timed out at all. So just know from me, you're not timed out. So sorry about that. I don't know what the confusion is. It might be YouTube doing something, but you're okay.
Area saying that Karmelo reached into the bag saying, touch me if you want to, or see what happens if you touch me. And that's what led, when Austin pushed him, he stabbed him in the chest. But the defense attorney says it was more of.
So this is why they hit him with the murder charges, because they're saying he had his hand in the bag and he's saying, listen, touch me and find out. So this is what they're trying to use, or what they used to come to the conclusion of what they did.
As long as you don't touch me, we'll be cool, implying that, you know, everything's fine. I understand there's a verbal altercation going on here, but just don't put your.
My whole entire life, I've heard people say, listen, you come over here, you're going to find out, right? I probably said it before too. I think that's a way of telling people to back up off me, mind your business. James Brown said, you don't start none, there won't be no static, right? So you have a right to tell people, listen, don't come over here messing with me. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Sit there? It's not going to happen. I'm going to tell a guy every day, don't come over here. You're going to be in trouble. All right? So that's a fair statement, but you know, it is what it is, folks.
Hands on me. So that was the narrative the defense painted there. They also said that Karmelo was under the tent because he was seeing somebody he was familiar with, a friend of his still girlfriend now, somebody he'd been acquainted with.
Eddie tried to deny it, right? He just tried to downplay it, I would say, just to be more accurate. But I've told the story so many times. The defense showed that him and Karmelo were great associates. They put up like 8 photos of them playing video games together. Karmelo was at Eddie's grandmother's house, and their parents became the best of friends, hanging out 2 or 3 times a month. We heard it all. And here's the key part: 10 days prior to Austin losing his life, Eddie and Karmelo was together on the field. Eddie claimed he didn't remember that. He said, well, if I was on the field, I was warming up. But then Toby Shook, the defense attorney, put the picture up and showed, and people were like laughing. But I saw some of Austin's family members. They looked really kind of weird when it became quite obvious that Eddie and Karmelo were quite associates. They knew each other very well, even though Eddie tried to downplay it in court. That's facts.
Somebody he recognized, and then they walked through some of that video, Julia, showing that Karmelo Anthony was under the tent for about 2 minutes before Metcalf, his twin brother, and their friends got to the tent, and the whole ordeal went down in about 4.5 minutes of both of them, both parties.
Okay, so he's still off. He's off. Nick at Night substantiated what I said. Again, I never saw this guy in the courtroom. I did see, I believe, his counterpart. So what happens in court, they send in like individuals that take notes, and then they feed those notes probably to corporate. Then corporate approves what these individuals, these anchors, can say. And then they proceed to go live on national TV or whatever every so often throughout the day. So you really can't be in court. I'm not saying he wasn't there. I'm just saying I didn't see him. So I'm just making that point. Maybe he was there, but I'm just saying.
Being under that tent, Julia.
But you notice he also says that there was like a 4 or 5 minute period where there was nothing happening, but yet these other individuals on the video that they saw that was different, these 4 boys came to that tent. 20 seconds later, they were beating Karmelo's behind, right?
But again, emotional out here. I'm looking around it here. There's a lot more demonstrators than there were yesterday during jury selection. So, each side is here. It's a polarizing case, of course, that has caught many headlines across this country. But those opening statements were definitely powerful on either side.
Notes, Cody. We're so fortunate that you've been able to share with us what is happening inside of that courtroom. Tell us more about the surveillance video, because your notes on this were very...
Okay, so pay attention. This is where the rubber meets the road, as they say, right?
Very interesting. What were you able to see? And then I also understand there was a reaction from the victim's family when that was being played.
Yeah, Julia. So that's in the...
Shout out to Make It Make Sense. Shout out to Max. I see all of my courtroom people in the building. Shout out to you guys. Thanks for coming through.
The opening statement, they were referencing surveillance video. And, of course, everyone wanted to see video. We haven't seen anything. There's been a gag order on this case since the very beginning last year. So they start playing this video. There were 5 different angles of the video getting walked through from testimony by the forensic video analyst. And they were very wide angle videos, Julia. And the witness had to talk about how he had to use this software to zoom in and try to make the video as clear as possible. And even then, Julia, I won't lie, it still looked very fuzzy and hazy. It definitely sets the scene. You can see what's going on, but even the prosecution distinctly said that you won't be able to uniquely identify anyone, but they were...
You hear that? That's what the prosecution said. So that didn't change with the 4K video that they showed them under special circumstances. So we saw so this is the key point for all of the people that are so confused about this video. It's become quite, I don't want to go there. The original cameras are recording in 4K, and they're filming in 4K because they have to film what's happening on the other side of the field. This is a large stadium, okay? So in court, we saw the video. It was blurred because it's on regular televisions. They had us go out and take a break. You could ask Make It Make Sense, and these guys, they go to court with me. I don't just make stuff up, but they would tell you. Okay, so, and go follow these guys, the Max Vault, Make It Make Sense, everybody, Udo on Go. So anyway, we come back from break. They have this special 4K television in front of the jurors, and also the attorneys. They went and sat beside the jurors so that they could see the screen. And we're like sitting there. I'm sitting with the girls. I'm like, yo, they're not letting us see this video, you know. I'm not, you know, but anyway, they left Karmelo sitting at the table by himself. He's sitting there just shaking. It has nothing. He does this all the time. They opened up by telling us he had epilepsy. So obviously you could see something happening. At some time I'd see the judge just staring at him, you know. I'm not even gonna get into that because I don't want no smoke, but the judge I don't want to go there. Anyway, his mother talked about he has seizures. You know, he's sitting there, he has on a leg monitor. I'm just trying to help you guys understand. I'm sitting literally, I could extend myself. If I stood up, I could reach out over and touch him if I wanted to, right? But there's a barrier obviously in front of us. His family sitting over to the far right. Austin's Metcalf family is sitting to the left. It seems that the mother has remarried or something. There's another guy sitting beside her, which I thought all that time, because I didn't really know much about Jeff before I went there. Jeff is actually sitting down a little bit further. He's coughing a lot. Anyway, let me stay in my zone. Okay, so the mother's crying a lot throughout the day. The jurors are starting to peep game with her, like they're looking at her like, you know, so that had a dramatic effect on the case. I was shocked because in New York, they don't allow you to do that because it influences the jurors. So they tell you when you go in there, I mean, I don't care who you are, the mom, that in New York, these guys can tell you, you can't be Diddy's mother. If she wanted to cry, she got to keep that to herself, or she has to leave the building because they don't want people to be influenced by it. But anyway, let's keep this thing moving here.
Referred to Karmelo on the video as the person of interest, and they referred to Austin Metcalf as the victim. Of course, as the forensic analyst has digested this video and dissected it and pointed out everything that we need to know, going through shoes and the type of clothing they were wearing. So we identified who each person was in the video, even though they kind of just looked like humanoid blobs. But you see, one thing that stood out to me, Julie, is that, you know, I'm very familiar with track meets. I was under the impression that, you know, when you go to a championship track meet, you have multiple tents on the same side of the bleachers. But in this video, because it's early in the morning, just before 10 a.m. when all this happened, the high school where all this went down, Memorial High School, it was just an isolated tent in the bleachers by itself. There were no surrounding, schools or anything in the general area. You saw some schools walking in, but I guess, you know, the meet was just starting. But anyway,
I showed a picture of the weapon already. We went through that. If you want to go back in time, you can see it. I show you what they pretty much showed us in court. It's a blade 3.5 inches.
Identified Karmelo walking up the bleachers, kind of walking towards the tent. He kind of goes towards someone, and you see him standing there for a couple of minutes. Then you see Austin Metcalf, his twin brother, and his friends walking up and getting under the tent. And then once everything's happening under the tent, it just kind of looks like a blob of people. You can't really make out anything that's really going on for 5 to 6 minutes. And then you see a quick...
So you heard that? The testimony for the individuals that are on TikTok and other places saying that they saw this different video, they're saying that 4 guys walk up, they see Karmelo under the tent. Okay, Neek at Night and I both in court, we took notes. Not forget the video, we're taking the testimony. And I told you guys several times, according to the testimony and the video, because I could see the time on the video, right? Austin and Hunter, they arrive at 9:54. At 9:56, Karmelo arrived 2 minutes later. Neek at Night explained that. I showed you guys. If anybody that's coming in now, go back and listen to what Neek at Night said, okay? So these individuals are saying that what they saw in the video is 4 guys walk to the tent and they attack Karmelo. Carmelo's not in the tent, according to the testimony of all these individuals that came to court. So it's very important to know that.
To and from, you know, and they were implying that was like...
I'm about to go back and play Neek at Night one more time so everybody can really get this. I'm sorry I keep doing it this way and I'm slow walking it, but I really want anybody that wants to know how this transpired, you can come to this video and kind of get an idea.
The push, the initial contact. You can't really see anything happening. Before then, you see people walking by. They're not really, you know, turning heads as if something's loud and, you know, something's catching their attention. But all of a sudden you see that to and from, and then you see Karmelo, or who they identify as person of interest, who we're assuming to be Karmelo Anthony. He runs out from under the tent, and then he's running down the bleachers, sprinting a ways away from the tent and out of the stadium onto the track and everything towards one of his coaches. And eventually after that, we see another angle of the video where Karmelo's been taken into custody by police. But the reaction, Julia, it wasn't a visceral reaction. You know, when you saw the to and from, of course, that's the stabbing action, if you will. All I saw him sitting 2 rows behind Austin Metcalf's father, and his head was just kind of in his hands, kind of like this. Wasn't necessarily crying, but, you know, just implying that he doesn't really want to see, even though he can't see the stabbing, but he knows in his mind this is the moment that his son lost his life. So he was just there, you know, obviously overwhelmed by everything. I'm sitting right behind the Metcalf family. Karmelo Anthony's family is on the opposite side of the courtroom. But again, the video, not as impactful as I thought, but it definitely is a scene setter to help us understand clearer as to what's going on, since we haven't seen anything so far in this case.
Oh, incredible.
Okay, guys, so he was sitting right behind Jeff, okay, in court. We're going to go back real quick, and I'm going to show you again Neek at night so you guys can understand. Compare what she says now to what we've heard completely before we get into the eyewitnesses of people who actually went to see the video back a year ago. So now we're going to get eyewitness testimony to the video, but closer to the event. So we're going to go back to Neek at night. Check her out. Go support her. She really was influential in this case tremendously, because I'm able to show you guys a lot from her.
You know, you can think what you want. Was it appropriate, inappropriate for him to be there?
Okay, so
You know, you can think what you want. Was it
2 minutes after Austin enters, Karmelo
Play here, but I think if cameras
began to fall. Some teams went to the buses, some were on the field, some with their teams in the tents. 6 minutes and the murder, Austin and his brother, 6 minutes before the murder, Austin and his brother entered the tent. You will see normal activity in the tent.
Okay, so that lines up to what I told you. I told you that the fighting, the stabbing, she's calling it what they said in court. The murder happened at 10 and 48 seconds, right? Okay, and I also told you that the boys, Austin and his brother Hunter and these other guys, they arrive at 9:54. So that matches up with her 6 minutes before he stabbed. So we're right on the money.
2 minutes after Austin enters, Karmelo is visible.
Okay, so 2 minutes after the Austin and his brother arrive, Karmelo arrives. Listen to her.
He makes a beeline into the memorial tent.
2 minutes after, he makes a beeline into the tent. Okay, so that's that matches what I have here. 9:54, Austin arrives. 9:56, Karmelo arrives. We're right on the money.
You will see more normal activity in the tent. The other kids asked, why was he there? They treat.
See, in court, right? The other testimony that we're getting from these individuals, they're saying the 4 guys walked up, 20 seconds, they're beating him. But you hear what she's saying? Once Karmelo comes into the tent, it ties up to what Hunter says in his video. But a lot is happening over 4 or 5 minutes. All these conversations that are testified in court, they come into play. And you have 13 kids coming in saying things, but some of them made it very clear that he was going to pick this boy up over some metal bleachers. Are you kidding me? You know, the facts of the case are the facts of the case. All I'm saying is, I don't know anybody. Now, he has epilepsy and seizures, right? I don't even want to go there. But you mean to tell me you're going to let him pick up the boy? You know, this is a serious matter from both of their angles, okay? But I'm not here to get into that. I just want to stick to the facts. Let's check it out.
The tent like a locker room to protect valuables from theft. Austin steps up to tell him to leave. After several people told him to leave, Austin took the bait. Okay, so he's basically shaping it as like Austin was baited by Karmelo.
And I'm going to tell my story again. I know you guys who follow the channel are tired of hearing it, but it's just like when you watch the Discovery Channel and they do the duck calls, the hunters, and they go, whoo, and then the duck comes and you shoot it. That's what the prosecution tried to paint, that Karmelo walks up to these group of guys and he's saying, "You guys suck ass." And then all of a sudden, all these kids are like, they were doing their business or whatever. They turn around like, "Oh, who is this guy?" Carmelo's like, "I'm a nobody." And some of the black kids are saying, "Yeah, we told him to leave too." So it's not a white on, we got to come off of some of this narrative, but you got to focus on the fact that the boy was about to be picked up. And just because somebody, I know people don't want to hear this, but just because somebody's talking, people troll me all day. If you go through the chat, you're going to see somebody saying, "Why has this guy got a suit on and a baseball hat?" Boom, 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 right? This happened in real life, but that doesn't give you the right to come pick somebody up. I know you ain't going to come pick me up. I'm going to tell you that right now, or you're going to have another situation. I'm going to tell you that straight up. So anyway, let's keep it to the facts.
Because Karmelo didn't listen to him when he said leave. So that was Karmelo baiting Austin into hitting him. Mark
See that?
Porter, he is a forensic.
Shout out to Nika at Night. She is a heavy hitter. This is what I needed to really show you guys, that we're in sync. But not only that, that my notes are solid, right? Solid.
Video analysis, and he works for the district attorney and all of the prosecutors. Anyone who needs assistance with like video enhancements or trying to.
Now she's going to explain the difference between the video. If you pay attention to Nika at Night, you're going to understand why people are seeing different videos, right? But it's the same video.
Identify suspects in videos and things of that nature. He's their go-to guy for them to like look at video, enhance video, and you know, all of those type of things. And so he said that there was going to be 5 different video angles that they were going to produce for us to see through.
We saw that.
Him. It was going to be exhibits 5 through 9. They offered that. It says that
the guy at Court TV, he's a little bit off, but Nika at Night, she's right on the money. I'm telling you what I know.
They wanted to know like, oh, what was the quality of the video? So they asked him like, hey, you know, what is the quality of the video? And the guy said that the video was in 4K. The prosecutor.
So like I told you, the original video that's being, the cameras are 4K cameras recording in 4K. So when they played it in court openly to everybody on all of these regular TVs, you don't see it in 4K because you need a special 4K television. And that's what they had at this location at the school where people went to see it. So that's why when they pulled in the special television to show it to the jurors, they had a chance to see the same video that the people saw at the school, more than likely. We're going to ask Calvin about that. But keep in mind, the jurors saw the regular video that we saw on television, and they had a chance to see it in 4K too. While they were showing it to them in 4K, we couldn't see it. We were frustrated, but we were matching up. And if you go through Nika at Night and you listen to her, she'll show you after the fact that they're describing the same video that everybody saw. Okay.
Prosecution wanted us to know that 4K video, just because like it's shot in 4K, doesn't mean that the TVs will show it in 4K. So he said that he was going to bring in a special 4K TV so that they can see it in 4K. Okay, so
and that's what they did. And that's the same, that's what the people who are on Facebook, they saw it in 4K. They probably brought it in the same television as far as I know. I don't know, but I'm just saying the jury saw both. Okay? And obviously the 4K is more enhanced, but keep in mind the description about the video is the same. We're going to get to that eventually.
You know, you can think what you want. Was it appropriate?
Okay, so now, guys, now we're going to go, and I'm going to really go deep now. I'm going to take you back to witnesses that were closer to, who actually went to the same school, and they saw the same television in 4K. And I want you guys to pay attention to what they're saying.
He is releasing surveillance video of the stabbing at the track meet that led to the death of a student back in April, but only under very strict conditions. So through open records, they will allow whoever requests it to view that video, but no recording whatsoever is allowed. On that note, we sent our I-Team producer, Kelsey Mittauer, to watch that video. She
Guys, hit the like button, share, and subscribe, and keep hitting the hearts. Thank you.
joins us now in studio to walk us through what you saw. We're going to go in order here in just a second, Kelsey. But in general terms, what did the video depict? What did you see?
It shows everything from the moments leading up to the stabbing to the medical response to then the beginning of the police investigation.
Okay, and it lasted several minutes.
So she got on the list. She signed up, and she went to see the same video that some of these other individuals have described to us, okay?
Is what they showed.
It did, about 30 minutes.
Okay, so let's start in the beginning now and talk a little bit about what you saw at the front end of that video, because you got to see the attack, the actual stabbing
Right.
took place.
So it starts, I started watching about 9:53. The camera shows how.
Now notice how her timing is off, right? So evidently, there's something going on with the time between the two. Note that.
Of the field. So it's about from the 50-yard line on, and the tent where it happened was kind of right in front of the 50-yard line, but the camera is down here.
Okay.
It's positioned across the field. So everybody in the video, you can tell they are kids or adults, but no one's identifiable.
So a long shot is what
A
you
long
see.
shot, yeah.
So a couple minutes in, and you actually see the altercation take place.
Yes, everything leading up to it, everyone's milling about. It seems very normal, and then right at 9:55, that's when like there's this explosive movement or action between two people.
Okay, so we have to note any discrepancies. She says at 9:55, that's when the commotion started. We saw in court, Neek at Night substantiated it started at 10 o'clock. That's when the commotion started. So you have to factor that in. Why is that the case?
Under the tent, and that's when the employees in the room told me that's when the stabbing happened at 9:55.
Right, and you were talking about people kind of start to scatter at that moment. Obviously, something went
She was being told. Somebody's telling her that information. That's weird.
wrong. And so what happens next? Because now, a little bit later on, that's when the ambulance shows up.
See, this is the problem. People that work there are given way too much information. And what I'm seeing now, they were giving misinformation to people coming to watch the video. You should have been able to watch the video, take your notes and write down the times instead of just them telling you, well, that's Karmelo. Couldn't have been Karmelo based on what we saw in court, according to the official video.
Right. So when the ambulance arrives, it actually comes through near the end zone at the gate.
And I say official because it's in court. Now, that's subjective, and I know people are going to debate it. I just want to clarify.
And then it comes up to the 50-yard line directly in front of the tent. You can see Austin Metcalf is right here.
So our time matches up at 10:05. Okay, 10:05, I told you the ambulance and the police pull up. Okay, so we match there.
But then when they pull up close to the tent, they realize that they can't get the stretcher to him because of the barrier of the bleachers. So at that point, then the paramedics have to get out, and then they have to walk all the way back to the end zone. This is actually, on the next slide. They have to go all the way back to the end zone and then come all the way back. That takes another couple of minutes. So
Yep.
at this point, they've arrived, and they are actively working on Metcalf at that point.
And we want to reiterate, we're using some imagery here to sort of denote exactly what was happening
Right.
here, these little icons that were using the ambulance, because, again, the video was not able to be.
So they were allowed to, they had the option to go back, I guess, and watch the video from 11 minutes or 2 minutes. In court, they told us that the video was spliced into 5 different angles. So the presiding timeline probably would be off, but I don't know exactly.
Released. You're watching all of this happen, Kelsey, and you're watching the time sort of elapse. What are you thinking about when you see this, especially when you see sort of the issues in getting Metcalf out of there?
I mean, I understand why it happened the way it happened. They were still working on him, actually. The thing that really struck me is they're working on him, and that's when you see the rain's coming down heavier, and then they actually pull out the blue tarp.
We saw the rain in court from different angles, so we could definitely see the rain. Even on the blurred video, you could see the rain when the boys were walking back from the middle school. Although in court, I felt like they said something about a concession, but anyway, in a video, Hunter says they came back from the middle school.
That we saw.
Right. And then I noticed the crime scene tape is already up. I was so focused on here, I didn't even see that. But they're building the crime scene actively around him as they're continuing to work on him in the bleachers.
So that was happening while he...
So what she meant by that, originally the tent was up higher. It was right beside the other tent. You'll probably see it. I'll show you that before we go. Once Austin was struck and he fell all the way down to the bottom of the bleachers, it started raining like really bad. They moved the tent over him. And then also in the photos I showed you guys yesterday, there's a tarp just above the tent. They took that tarp that was folded up and they put it over the knife, because basically after this happened, Karmelo dropped the knife or the multi-purpose tool. According to the defense, multi-purpose tool. I just want to be precise. The prosecution labeled it a knife, okay? I know people are really monitoring this situation. So anyway, he went up about 3 bleachers. That's where that multi-purpose tool / knife was located, okay? We already talked about that with Calvin. Then he ran down. The prosecution tried to say he ran out of the event to the exit, but it's very clear when we saw in the video, he actually ran on the field right to the coaches. So the prosecution tried to drum it up way more than what we saw in the video. And I thought that perhaps the jury would at least take note of that. We will never know. We'll probably never hear from them. Okay. So anyway, now we're going to move on. We're getting closer to the end. I know it's been a long night, but now I want you to check out this next video. Is very important.
Jury indicted 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony just last week for a deadly altercation that happened at a Texas track meet in April. And now News Nation has viewed a critical piece of video evidence. 17-year-old Austin Metcalf was killed. Anthony admits he stabbed Metcalf while both took cover.
He did.
Under a team tent during a rain delay. But Anthony's...
It was very important to know that one of the coaches said that Karmelo didn't think he had killed a guy. He thought he had just hit him so he could get him up off of him. And when the coach told him that, listen, it's a good possibility that this young man's going to die, it's going to change your life forever, Karmelo went crazy crying. I think he went down to the ground. He was a wreck. And then when the police officer took him, he kept asking, is he okay? And things like that. So it's important to know some of these little details.
Says he was acting in self-defense. News Nation's Rich McHugh has been tracking this case.
So this guy went to see the video too. Same video that, most of the individuals went to see. At least that's what they're saying. I want you to pay attention to how he describes it.
And Rich, you are one of the reporters who got to view this important piece of evidence.
Yeah. Now I want to tell you guys this before we play this, right? In court, we saw the blurred video. The jury saw it in 4K. After they saw the video expert, he went back on the stand. Okay, this is the key point of tonight. And the defense asked him, if someone turned their head, would you be able to see it? What my point is, the 4K video was still blurred. You're going to see it from this guy. But in court, they made it appear toward the end of his testimony, he clearly said basically the 4K would define certain things better, but the presiding facts would remain the same, because they were asking him, whoever, one of the defense attorneys says, if they were arguing, would you be able to hear it? No. Would you be able to make out a lot of details? No. It was still, even though we saw the blurred video, my point is, even after you watch the 4K video and he enhanced it, it still wasn't crystal clear, okay? This guy here, again, he went to this school. Now notice what he says.
They allowed me to view this video under strict conditions. I couldn't record anything. I couldn't take pictures. I could take notes, but that's about it. They would play it one time, and they wouldn't even rewind it or play it again, even the moment in question. So what I saw in the video was ultimately it's from the press box across the field on the 45-yard line. You can view a yellow tent across the field. That's where this incident happened. There's no sound on the video. and it's raining, and you can see about 30 to 40 people around the field. It's a track meet that morning, so they're preparing for this track meet.
So they show you the layout. These are the cameras that we're able to see what we did see from.
The incident in question happens at 9:44 a.m. It's really calm.
His timing is off too. He says 9:44. The lady said 9:55. So there's something weird going on with timing. Even in the trial, the prosecution said, listen, the times are going to be off because I told you guys we had officer, I think his name was Cortez. He came in and I try to peep every little thing that's happening so I could write it in my notes, right? When the officer came in, I noticed that the day was April the 2nd, 2025, but the timestamp on his body cam was February the 10th, 2016. I was like, what? So I could pull the girls that were sitting beside me and I said, notice the timing is off. And she looked at the time, this person here, and I could bring her on the channel. I probably will. And she saw the time and she was like, it's off by 10 years. Like, what's going on here? Right. So anyway, that's just a side point for those of you who are really invested in this case.
Up until that point, and then chaos ensues, and you can't really make up anybody. You can't make out individuals. You can see people and colors and what they're wearing, but you can't make out identities. But again, at 9:44, chaos ensues. What I did not see was any obvious physical altercation leading up to the stabbing. Now, I went inside the stadium earlier this morning to try and give our viewers a better vantage point of where this all happened. Take a look. Across the field, you can see where the press box cameras
I think, I'm sorry, I want to play this a little bit more.
The incident question,
Here we
people
go.
around the field. It's a track meet that morning, so they're preparing for this track meet. The incident in question happens at 9:44 a.m. It's really calm.
I'm going to pause right here. I just want to make a point because I want to show you guys from my notes so you don't think I'm just free willy. You know what I mean? So, body cam, you can see his wedding ring. These are the type of things that I document. From his body cam, I can see his wedding ring. He's married. His timestamp on his body cam is February the 10th, 2016. Okay. The time of the day was 16:37. Okay. That's what's on his body cam. But the day was April the 2nd, 2025. Why is that the case? So you see in court, I'm documenting all sorts of types of things and I wrote down gray sweater, blue sweatpants. This is what we can see on the body cam from Karmelo. This is what he was wearing. He had on black and white Nikes. You know the Nikes that looks like Uptowns? I'm not so hip anymore. But those Nikes that look like Uptowns, but they have the black and white, that's what he had on that day. The younger guys would know what it's all about. I'm out of that level now. But anyway, he put his hands on me. I told him not to. That's what Karmelo said to the police officer when he grabbed him, Officer Cortez. Karmelo asked Officer Cortez, is he going to be okay? Okay. And he says he's 16 years old. He can't be processed through the precinct. So he called a senior officer and they said that he could be processed through the precinct because of his age. He says, I have the alleged person that with the knife or whatever. Karmelo says, I'm not the alleged suspect. Guys, I wrote it in red. I'm not the alleged suspect. I did it. That's what Karmelo said. All right. So I'm not in court just shucking and jiving for all the people that want to, just say silly stuff about, oh, you couldn't have been in court because Fox News didn't say that. Come off it. You're just wasting time. Okay, let's go.
Up until that point, and then chaos ensues, and you can't really make up anybody. You can't make out individuals. You can see people and colors and what they're wearing, but you can't make out.
Shout out to Calvin Johnson. I see you there, Calvin. I know I'm going later than what's expected. Let me send you the link in case you can come up. I only have 2 more videos, so I would imagine in 10 minutes we could rock and roll if you want to come up, Calvin. Thanks.
Identities. But again, at 9:44, chaos ensues. What I did not see was any obvious physical altercation leading up to the stabbing. Now, I went inside.
So he didn't see any altercation like what people, he saw the same video as these people that said they went to the place. He said he didn't see any of this stuff. He didn't come to court with us. He signed up on this list that's going around on Facebook and everywhere where people are saying they saw this and they saw that. This is the same place that he went to, folks. He said he didn't see it.
The stadium earlier this morning to try and give our viewers a better vantage point of where this all happened.
So now this is a year ago. So for the conspiracy theorists, you got to say now, a year ago, they had him shaping up a narrative. You know, it gets, he's from News Nation. It gets so creepy when you trying to come up with these, you know, ways of solving problems to fill in the gaps. You see what I'm saying?
Take a look. Across the field, you can see where the cameras, the press box cameras, captured everything. We're on the 45-yard line here. This is where it ultimately happened. There's a tent right up here, the kind of the sports tent where everybody was huddled at 9:44. Whatever went down happened right here. Everybody kind of took off. Now, according to police reports, Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony were here at this track meet. Austin Metcalf told Anthony he needed to move out from under their team's tent when Anthony grabbed his bag, reached inside, and told Austin, quote, "Touch me and see what happens." The police report states Metcalf grabbed Anthony to tell him to move. Anthony pulled out a knife, stabbed Metcalf once in the chest, and ran. Metcalf died in his twin brother's arms. And now, as of last week, Karmelo Anthony indicted for first-degree murder. Nicole?
So, Rich, how might this affect court?
Well, it's a good question. Court date has not yet been set. His first appearance is set, I believe, for July 17th. This video, from what I saw, the question I have is, will they be able to enhance it and to view it, to zoom in? Because what I saw happened very quickly, and there was no obvious altercation just before. So it could be a case where both sides will see what they want to see, but the question remains, how much can they kind of alter or zoom in on this video, Nicole?
All right.
Okay, so he left that same event where everybody saw the video hoping that they could enhance it because it was so blurred. Very similar to what we saw in court. And the final testimony from the video expert was it was still blurry. There was never some high level. So now we got people from court. We got the guy who actually went to the school and saw it. Okay, so now we're going to check out this video. And we're going to go back to Neek at night for a few more points. And I'm going to see if we can get Calvin in the building to answer a few questions. Thank you guys for hanging tough with me. I know it's tough, but we really needed to go through all of this.
With the day of facts from attorneys and emotion from witnesses during the first day of testimony in a Collin County murder trial. The case revolves around the stabbing death of Austin Metcalf and the arrest of Karmelo Anthony.
Yeah, that's right. The video should have been released, right? That's very suspicious. Also, it takes time. We could ask Calvin about the transcripts. Hopefully they're just delayed. But some people are saying this is just a vicious rumor that the case has been sealed. So if the case is sealed, you won't be able to get a copy of the transcripts. Hopefully it's not the case, right?
Anthony during a Frisco School District track meet a year ago. NBC5's Maria Guerrero is live.
See, here's the thing, right? If you don't get a chance to see the transcripts, then you're not going to ever get a chance to read in court where this kid says that Austin hit Karmelo with a lineman's drill. You won't get a chance to go into the transcripts and see, because that's what people are waiting for. They're waiting to go to those transcripts and see if I'm telling the truth. Jay says Austin started to pick up Karmelo. See, the mainstream media, they're just spinning one narrative. They're not mentioning a lineman's drill, right? I'm the first person that put that out and told everybody what was in court about that, right? It's very important, though, because it helps you to understand that some serious activity was happening under that tent that day.
Live with more for it.
And unfortunately, Austin lost his life, and it also led to Karmelo getting 35 years in prison.
Maria?
Hey there, Vince. Yeah, prosecutors in their opening statements calling this an unjustified, provoked murder. Karmelo Anthony's defense attorney, meanwhile.
So here's the other thing, just a little bit for you guys who are really following this case. All the kids that came in, the first one came in, he used the word provoked, and the prosecutor says, you said, what was that word you used? He says, provoked. He says, and that's your word, right? He says, yeah, that's my word. Then the next guy say provoke, and the next one say provoke, and the next one say, I'm going to say it 12 or 13 times. The next one said provoke. You see how this can go on? Also, the first kid came in, he had a comfort ball, a little yellow comfort ball. He was squeezing like a tennis ball. And I said, man, and I'm not taking it away from anybody. I'm just helping you understand what was in court. He's squeezing that ball. I said, man, he saw some things that definitely devastated him. But then the next guy came in, he was squeezing the ball. Then I saw the third one squeezing the ball. And I said, man, what is this about? Because I've been in so many cases, I've never seen anybody squeeze the ball. But this case, the kids are squeezing the balls, so it was quite interesting. That's all. I'm just helping you understand what we saw in court. And then also, here's the part that you heard me ask Calvin. I got to put this out there to you guys who are really following this case. The prosecution, see, this is where I'm going to get myself in a little bit of trouble. I can't ever leave a show without getting into a little bit of trouble. I can't even sleep at night until I get into a little trouble. It is what it is. Mainstream media walk away, right? And they say all those kids said that it was not self-defense. And, they all said that Karmelo was the aggressor. Okay. I'm not here to give you my take on it. But here's the thing. After the prosecution brought in all 13, I've seen them squeezing balls, and I saw them say provoked, cookie cutter, everyone. I'm just telling you what I know. Okay. Then at the end, he asked them the same questions. Did Austin, was he the aggressor? They say no. Was Karmelo the aggressor? Yes. Was Karmelo, was it self-defense? One time there was an objection, and, the judge got involved. Judge says he overruled it because he says it's their opinion, right? In New York, that would have never, I'm going to let Calvin get into that. I'm not an attorney. So they're saying, hey, is it self-defense? No. Was it murder from Karmelo? Yes. But now, whether you see that as true, false, I'm not here for that. I'm just telling you, that's how we had each of these witnesses ended their day with a series of 4 to 6 questions that was posed to them. And so what happens is the mainstream media, they read that. And so every time you try to tell them, that boy did a lineman press and he was picking them up. Yeah, but every one of those kids said it wasn't self-defense, it was murder. And they said Karmelo was the aggressor. You see what I'm saying? So the mainstream media has the biggest voice. And I keep telling you guys, I heard Nancy Grace, no shot at her, but she made the statement it was 3 Hispanics on the jury. Okay, I documented the jurors. And since this show, I put so much into it, I might as well go through it on this show too, for those that are just learning about watching the world. But if you're here for it, I'm here for it too. So here's the jury. Okay. So you had, again, I started this show. You had 5 white guys. Now I'm gonna make it painful. Okay. White woman, white male, Middle Eastern woman, Middle Eastern woman, Middle Eastern male, Asian woman, Hispanic woman, white male, white male, white woman, Asian woman, Asian woman, white male, white woman, white woman, white man, white man, white woman. All right, that's your jury. Okay, you can make what you want, but even still with that, you can't go around telling people it was an all-white jury, because that leaves room for people to say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. So I gave you the blueprint on what that looked like, okay? All right, so it's very important for you guys to know this stuff because this is a monumental case. I'm going to close this out, so just bear with me.
While not explaining why his client had a pocket knife in his bag, but defended himself, he says, in a moment of chaos and fear against twin brothers who are 83 pounds heavier than his client. The first piece of
Okay, so did you hear that? Karmelo 6'1", 225 pounds. Karmelo 5'7", 130 pounds. Austin went over. Jay says he started to pick him up. So you guys want him to, I want to ask you guys, when he picks him up, what do you want him to do with him? They're on the bleachers. It's solid metal bleachers, okay? And tomorrow I'll be out in New York City with all the people. Anything can go left. Somebody might want to try to pick you up, right? So my question to you, what's your strategy? Now, this is not about Austin. Austin, the main point is that everybody detected is that weapons are prohibited from this event, okay? So nobody's trying to take away from that for the people that came in and don't quite understand what this message is about. I'm just breaking down the facts of the case because I went to the trial, flew from New York. It took me, one day I left at 2 o'clock. I got home, I walked in my door. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Took me to get back home. So this is not a joke. Okay, but my question is, for anybody that has to sit on a jury or just living life, we know what happened is wrong. We're adults. We're not going to be babies here and just start getting into a debate. Oh, you support this one or that one? No, but I'm asking you, we have to learn from this case. What are you going to do when somebody come to pick you up? I go to court with you guys, right? I know what Uda's not letting anybody pick him up. Come on now. And I'm not saying Uda would, but I know what Uda would probably do. But you know what I'm saying? But that's Uda. And I know what I would probably do if somebody tried to somebody pick you up off the ground and there's metal seats below you. You got to be able to instruct your kids going forward. You can't let your kids think that they can take a serious beating, especially if they have epilepsy, seizures. You're already fragile. And then also you get these kids, they're so small and they have to go to school with guys that tower over them. So I'm asking you, what do you do? What are you going to tell your boy tonight when somebody pick him up at school this year coming up? What do you want him to do? This is a serious conversation. This conversation ain't for everybody. Now we're moving away from this case, and I'm asking you guys a serious question. I sat in court, and I saw all of these weird things happening, and then the case closed, and we can't even see the video. If you show the video to the masses, you solve a lot of problems. But with that, people are going to see Austin run into Karmelo. You're never going to see that video again. Okay? So let's just be real about this. Okay, I hear everybody in their comments and they think it's so simple. It's not simple. And you have to understand what you're going to do when somebody's picking you up. I want to know, where are these brilliant people at? I want to see your comments. I want you to tell me what you're going to do. Right? This is a serious matter. You got kids, right? What you going to tell them? I don't care if the guy's black or white. If he's picking up you or your kids, what are you going to do? This is testimony from court. And I'm going to pull it from Nika at Night and some of these other people until everybody understand what I'm saying. Okay? You're going to run. So you need to tell your kids they need to run then. Okay? Because that's what the mainstream media is saying. He should have ran. Okay? Is that what you're going to tell your kid? But I'm saying you got to have this conversation now so that history don't repeat itself. Okay? All right, so we're gonna see here. I'm having Calvin come up now. I'm gonna put on Nika at Night while I'm bringing up Calvin. I want you to pay attention to what she says. Now she's really gonna take it to another level. Shout out to Nika at Night. Calvin Johnson, our criminal defense attorney, is gonna come up because, quite frankly, I'm tired of talking now. All right, so thank you guys for tuning in. Just sit tight. Calvin's coming up. You can come up and ask him questions. Just be respectful. And when you ask your questions, ask questions that are going to help you And I hope that this somehow helps you to balance out this whole story. There's a lot of cloudiness on the internet, a lot of misinformation. But tonight I put together my notes, Nick at Night notes. I brought you the guy from Court TV. I showed you all these different witnesses. So I think by tomorrow, you should be able to, if you're a thinking person, you should be able to say, oh, okay, I think I see what's happening now. But I won't go here again. Next thing I'll show you will be a different angle, but it won't be about the video. And tonight I wanted to establish that my information is very legit. Okay, so let's give it up for Nick at Night. Shout out to her. She's so amazing.
All right. So, but in the midst of that, let's see. All right. So the victim entered the stadium at 9:53:06, and they enter in the tent 9:54.
So just so you're clear, 9:53, that's when he's walking into the main gate to get into the Coliseum, because he's going to enter that tent at 9:56. Check it out.
And then at 9:56 is when you see Karmelo enter the tent at the top.
So right there, for those that follow this channel, I've been telling you this all week. You should be able to say, yeah, he's taking great notes, right? Shout out to Watching the World for not lying to me, all right?
And it says he enters the tent at 9:56 with 14 seconds, which was 2 minutes after the victims arrived in the tent. And then that's when I noticed the ponchos, the umbrellas. And so it says between.
So she saw the ponchos and the umbrellas. Even though it was blurred, she still saw the ponchos and the umbrellas. So it's very important to note that.
9:54 and 10 a.m. So 9:54 a.m. and 10 a.m. no movement under the tent indicates that.
These other guys were saying that they saw 4 people, and I'm not disputing them. They had to have seen a different video if this is going to work. But she just told you these 4 guys walk up, they go to the tent, or they told you rather, 4 guys walk up, go to the tent. They started beating on him in 20 seconds. But Nick at Night, I'm going to back it up just a little bit. She tells you for 4 minutes, after Karmelo arrived, things are chill. And the guys are talking. You don't know what they're saying, but that's when all these conversations is happening. Okay? Not a jumping or anything like that in court. Okay, check it out.
To like hurry up and run down. He jumps down and he like kind of falls. And then so then he walks by. So it's like a canopy or whatever.
Hold on one
like
second.
several students.
Let me find it. Here we go, right here.
Stabbing. So everybody's going about business as usual. You see people walking like not a care in the world. They're not acting like, kids are not congregating. There's no sign that there's any disturbance under that tent. Immediately after there was the stabbing of Austin, they all start dispersing like Skittles or like ants or like whatever you want to call it. They all start like running out. You see Karmelo jump up. He like runs up the bleachers and then jumps down. Like he tries to like hurry up and run down. He jumps down and he like kind of falls, and then he jets out. And then as he's running out, there's kids behind him that's chasing him. And then he ends up running where there were some coaches right there, and they kind of like, stop him and then hand him off to his coach for his school. All right. So, but in the midst of that, let's see. All right. So
guys, I think you guys get the point. Nick at Night did a great job breaking this down. I'm going to bring up criminal defense attorney Calvin Johnson to answer your questions. Go support Nick at Night. Her Cash App is right there. Definitely give her some support. It takes a lot to travel and cover these cases. So really, really support her. She really goes above and beyond, and I appreciate her tremendously. Let's get to it with Calvin Johnson. Thank you guys for sticking with me. I know it was a long journey, but I wanted to show you the whole trail. All right, Calvin, how are you? Welcome in.
How's everybody doing?
Quite well, thank you.
Yeah, so anybody got any questions? It's a very difficult situation, especially when you watch the news. They do exclude a lot. They don't talk about the lineman move, the tackle, even though I'm sorry, y'all. Even though you had a lot of witnesses that testified on behalf of Metcalf, and that's just simply because everything happened in their tent. But they're not mentioning the other witnesses or a few witnesses that even were from that school that testified differently, as well as the other witnesses that were called that referenced a lineman move. So we know something happened different, at least from some of the witnesses' points of view, than what the news is reporting.
Okay, there's a question there for you.
Could the multiple assailants doctrine be used in this case? Well, it possibly could have, but one of the things that happened today, I was watching I was watching something earlier, and I think Dominique Alexander, one of the spokesmen for the family, he admitted that he was not being jumped. Or he said that Karmelo was not being jumped. And see, that's part of the reason why attorney-client privilege is sometimes not having a spokesman or having a spokesman is not the thing to do, because now you got somebody on your team coming in and admitting that you were not jumped. At least he, coming from that side, said he wasn't being jumped. And so when you have somebody from that camp saying that he wasn't being jumped, now you take an avenue away of there being multiple assailants. And so that's why you have to be extremely careful when you're handling these cases. And of course, if there were multiple assailants, if it's 3-on-1, 4-on-1, 5-on-1, that does make a difference, because it would definitely justify and give more reason why somebody would use a knife after being pushed or punched or attacked, because you would have multiple people on one, and using a weapon would make more sense at that point. And they said, I've seen more of our own speaking on Karmelo and calling him a murderer is unreal. I think some people, and I think what you have to realize is this: some people view this just as an occurrence, not through the lenses of always color. And a lot of us, because we carry a lot of baggage of being mistreated, knowing what the system has done to our people on multiple occasions, knowing actual people who have had miscarriages of justice done against them. We carry a lot of that baggage around with us every day. And a lot of us, a lot of African American folks don't look at it through the lens of color. And then some people will say, well, how could they not? They're going to want to do that one day. They're an embarrassment to their people by not doing it that way. But I think with that being said, I've talked to some people and just having a conversation with them, and they say, well, look, what if it was your child that got stabbed in the chest? Even if he was wrong with putting his hands on somebody, let's say it was your child that got stabbed in the chest in a situation like that and died, how would you feel? Or somebody would say, well, what if the colors were reversed of the people? How would you feel? And so those are the things that I hear from people that don't view it in terms of a color lens that are not, let's say, for Karmelo. Those are some of the things that people are saying. I'm being very delicate even now as I'm speaking about it, because people will attack you if you do not 100% agree with defending Karmelo if you're black sometimes. And one of the things that I've had to be extremely careful about is that as a lawyer, I know what applies and what doesn't apply. And if I tell somebody, hey, listen, the law of proportionality applies here, If somebody pushes you, you don't get to stab him. I've had people go, well, what if he, that don't sound right. Well, he should be able to. You don't know. People get mad at me for just giving them what the law is because it does not support Carmelo's position. And we got to be extremely important. We got to be extremely careful because some of that information is extremely important. And some people will say, well, you speaking against Carmelo. No, listen, I'm telling you this stuff because that's an issue that when you're defending Carmelo, if he was to get another trial, that you're going to have to deal with. So you might as well start thinking about it now. So these are some of the things that we got to be very careful about. If you don't support Carmelo and you give your opinion, okay. But the people that do support Carmelo need to be able to listen to the other side because those are issues and those are things that you're going to have to deal with if he does try this case again. Somebody says, I don't buy the Carmelo seizure story. I don't buy that Metcalf was innocent. Dude suspended from the team for something thuggery. Well, hey, I get it. But at the same time, I try to tell people, you just got to be careful when talking about this. And some of the things you may feel in your heart are important. Legally, they won't have the same effect that you may think they have. As a lawyer, I have to look at the law. And as a lawyer, when I go to court, I know what standard things are going to be judged on. So I'm going to have to deal with those things. So we got to be careful when we're talking about this, even when somebody doesn't agree with you or somebody points out something that may not support Carmelo. The non-Carmelo side needs to be able to listen to it because you got to deal with that when you go to court, because I'm going to tell you that the prosecution are going to think about those same things, the negative side, when they try Carmelo again, if he does get an appeal. So you might as well get ready to start dealing with now. So we got to be very careful about engaging in this conversation. And when somebody doesn't agree with you, that you kind of, stay civil about it.
What are your thoughts about the whole video situation? Do you think it's possible there's two separate videos floating around?
Number one, I always try to tell people, because most people are not from Texas. They don't understand how discovery works in Texas. If there is another video, I just don't think that there's another video floating around that they would not show. If there is, and if a video is out there that's floating around that they did not turn over to the defense team, then that could be a problem because in Texas, that is discovery violations, and for discovery violations, you can lose your license. I know attorneys who lost their licenses for not turning over discovery to defense teams, and in Texas, discovery is automatic, so you don't even have to file a motion to get the discovery; they have to give it to you. And so, usually, if there's a video, they're going to turn it over to you because nobody's going to lose their license over one case. So a lot of people talk about, oh, they're hiding this, they're hiding that. Simply, a lot of times that's not the case. And when it comes to transcripts, there's a number of things that you got to be careful about. Number one, there were a lot of minors testifying. So if the transcript comes and they give one to the public, you have to give a redacted copy to the public because you cannot identify any younger people in those transcripts. Number two, people think transcripts automatically come out. It doesn't work like that. The stenographer is taking shorthand. She has to convert that shorthand to a full transcript. And before anybody gets a copy, it has to be paid for. So what happens is there's a copy that comes out. She gets it paid because, it gets paid for. And the stenographer of the court, some people think that, okay, well, she works for the county. No, they're usually independent. They get paid a nice sum of money to generate those transcripts. So until one person pays for it, you're not going to get anything. So what happens is before any transcript comes out, because he is appealing, the appeal lawyer is going to have to request it, is going to have to get prepared, and it's going to be paid for before anybody gets a copy of it, because it's not just generated automatically. They have to get paid for it, and that's going to happen first and foremost. So that's how that is. And I don't think there will be a video disappearing, because I think that that's there will be a discovery abuse, and I just don't see somebody risking their job to do that.
What about the fact that the video that's at question is a video shown by the school?
Well, that's the other thing too. Typically, everything has been turned over to the defense as well as the state. Now, you got a number of things at play here. People need to understand there's probably a video that was admitted into court, right, as evidence, right? So that would be a piece of the evidence, right?
Yeah.
We still don't know what was turned over to the defense as evidence. There could be other angles of that video that has been turned over that the defense has that they decided not to use. And there could be video that the state has that they decided not to use that was not put into court. And so the defense may have video that they have in their possession that they decided that they were not going to use that may show a different angle. But people think that, well, they ought to just show it. They ought to be able to share it with the public. You can't do that. Let me explain to you about the evidence in these criminal cases down in Texas, because I want to help people understand this. You sign a protective order with discovery in Texas, which means mail you the prosecutor. You in charge of the discovery, which is you got 10 videos and 5 statements and a bunch of stuff with the people's information in it, and you're going to give that to me, right? Before you give it to me, I sign up to say that I'm only going to show it to me and my client. I'm not going to show it to the public. I'm not going to show it to anybody else. That's the rule. So I have to do that. Basically sign a protective order where I can't just give that out to everybody. So that's how that works. So people think that, oh, they ought to be able to see this and they're sealing this and this and that. No, the reason why they don't give full copies of that discovery out to just the general public is because it contains people's personal information, names, phone numbers, date of births, heights, addresses, sometimes social security numbers. And what was happening in the past, people were using that as a source to steal people's information. You think about it. You could go into discovery and get people's personal information. You can go get credit cards and all kinds of stuff on it, if you think about it. In addition to that, the reason why they start closing off some of the stuff too as well, people were going in and pulling people's paperwork on their cases, and then posting it on the internet. I remember in one of my cases one time, one of my guys wasn't going to testify. He just wasn't going to do it. But the state uploaded a witness list to one of the computers back in the day. You used to be able to walk up and type in and see everything that the state had entered just like that, right? Well, they entered in a witness list that had my client's name on it. Now, I know my client's not going to testify. He's like, Cal, I'm not coming down there. Matter of fact, while they were trying the case, he went to Timbuktu. He wasn't coming. Guess what happened? Because the state uploaded a document with him on the witness list, even though they didn't call him, the whole streets was calling him a snitch. He never testified, had no intention of testifying. But they do that to protect people's personal information. So people think that you're just going to be able to look at everything and they can show you all of this stuff. They shut that down because it has people's personal information and a lot of identifying characters and characteristics in a lot of this discovery. So sometimes they won't give that stuff to you because of that. So that's part of it. But then part of it, I would imagine too, Ken Paxton, who's the attorney general, and they have this thing where he can also delay turning some of that stuff over by making an executive attorney general decision to kind of delay releasing information. So with him, it doesn't surprise me because he is not the cleanest of them. That's about us. As a matter of fact, he had a number of issues since he had served as attorney general. I don't trust him. And he's been brought up on a number of things that the Texas legislature that they have concerns about. So that's kind of how that stuff goes when it comes to the discovery.
Right. A lot of people saw the video from the judge where he kind of broke down the whole case, and they kind of felt like he had a whole format for this case to get it done quickly. And with that, they felt like it was like a cookie cutter type of deal. Is that just typical? Because a lot of people were shocked that he was sentenced, found guilty, sentenced, and by the next morning he was bald.
In his court, things do move fast, but I've never seen anything move that fast. I've never seen anybody get sentenced, found guilty, sentenced, and move to the state jail facility like that. No, when you're in his court, he's efficient, but that fast, no, I've never seen anything that fast in my life. Typically, when I have a case, and I have cases in there, the trial moves pretty, pretty point blank, point blank, point blank. But to have a case finished, to get sentenced, and to be in state jail before you could blink and do a double take, no, that was too fast. That concerns me because when stuff like that happens, and I would think, and this is the other thing that I think that if you're the state of Texas, if you're Collin County courts, if you're the Texas Department of Corrections, to me that was a huge mistake. To me, it's a huge mistake because when the general public sees that, what do you think that they're going to think about? That there was a preconceived notion of how this was going to go, that you had everything planned to the T so fast that you're going to be able to coordinate a sentencing, the amount of time, and quickly getting him out of there into state custody, within 24 hours, within 12 to 18 hours. When you do something like that, people are not going to trust the system because they're going to say, oh, they had their mind made up. They already knew where they were going to send him. They even had his underwear picked out for him before he left. You see, you got to start thinking about that. And I think Collin County and the state made a huge mistake when they did it like that. I wouldn't have done that. The way the witnesses were using legal phrasing and leading a lack of experts is wild. I would have objected to the way that the questions were being asked to those witnesses. I wouldn't have allowed that. I think you should object to that. If the judge overrules it, you don't become discouraged because he overrules your objections. See, this is the thing with objections that I try to explain to people. I don't give a damn that if the judge don't like my objections. I don't give a damn if the judge likes me. I don't care. He can get mad at me all he wants. I don't give two shits about that. That's not my job. My job is if he's making a mistake, is for me to call it out to make sure I preserve error. Preserving error is, hey, if he makes a mistake and I object to it, if he makes a mistake on the objection, then I get to use it to get my appeal. And so you have to be aware enough that when you're trying a case, you're not there to be the judge's friends. You're not there, even if he's being too harsh, even if he's going too hard. I've had judges that maybe like me as a person and that I like as a person. But man, when I give it between those lines, I'm fighting for my client. And if I see you and I know you personally, even as a judge, and I see you doing my client a particular way, I'm like, nah, If you get mad at me, fine. But I'm going to fight for my client. If you overrule my objections, okay, fine. I'm going to keep objecting. The next question comes up along that same line, I'm going to object. If they keep asking the question in that particular way, I'll have a running objection. And I do that to preserve error because each time that the judge makes a mistake, that could be something that cause the case to be overturned and for us to have to do this again. So that's why you got to be strong when you are in there with these judges. Even with judges like John Roach, I know him, I've dealt with him, I've worked with him before. But if I'm trying a case in front of there and he starts being aggressive with me or and overruling my objections, okay, fine. I'm not mad at him, but I'm going to continue to object because that's my job. My job is to work for my client. So you got to do that. You got to do your job. You can't get discouraged by somebody being agitated as a judge or overruling your objections. Just because they're overruled does not mean that the judge is always right on them. It means that you raised the idea that he was wrong. And if he is wrong, that is something that you can get your case reversed on. That's why you continue to do it.
Okay. Let's see here. There you go.
What the one lawyer shook is it coming to work the prosecution for years, didn't even have a law firm with them, and then end up the defense team to face them in court. It is. A lot of lawyers end up being prosecutors and then working as private defense attorneys. That's why, and I will tell you this, a lot of things bother me about this case because Toby Shook is known to be a really good lawyer. I've seen him in trial. Typically, he's good. I don't know what was going on here with Karmelo, and that's what strikes me with this Karmelo case. And I got to be very careful what I say because I honestly told Mel I wasn't going to continue to talk about it because anytime I say something that people may, oh, you're slighting Karmelo, you're not for Karmelo, you're saying negative stuff. I get concerned when I see somebody that does not testify in punishment on their own behalf. Because I go like, wait a minute, why are they not testifying in punishment on their own behalf? There's two things. You either scared that the defense is going to rip you to shreds, or you have something, whether it be in your phone, your history, your social media, or your past is so bad that you don't want the state to come after you with it. So those are the things that make me wonder and make me worry because as a defense attorney, I've had times where I could not call my client in punishment because they had something wrong with them and they had some bad history and some bad stuff going on that I couldn't use, the state could use to bury them. And I couldn't call them as witnesses. And so, not saying that that's Karmelo's situation. Sometimes it's just like, he's a young kid. I don't think he's going to handle that well. I'm not going to put him up there. That could be his case. But the flip side of that is I've had some kids or some young people with some problems, and they couldn't even testify because of those problems.
There's a question for you.
Mel, did the judge ever pull in the defense attorney into his chambers? And if so, you believe he said something which then altered the way he defended Karmelo?
Okay, so they had a few sidebars. There was one time when Eddie, his testimony was not legitimate. Okay, so he tried to paint this picture. He downplayed his friendship with Karmelo. And so when Toby Shook started to put up like the 7th or 8th photos showing them together hanging out, Eddie's with Carmelo's grandmother, the prosecutor says, okay, I've had enough of this. Like, can we get this going? And the judge looked to the defense and like, I've had enough of this too. But they were trying to build their case. You know what I mean? So to me, that seemed like that's like you need to get done. Like he needs to work on it, right?
No. Well, what you do there is wait a minute, Judge. I'm doing my case. They put this witness on. I'm making sure that this jury knows that this witness is lying. That's when you get strong. You don't let a judge do you like that. And if he doesn't like it, that's not your problem. My job in between those lines is not for us, me and the judge, to be friends. My job is to defend you. You're my client. At the end of the day, I'm going to be judged not by how well I get along with him, how well I defend you. So if judge starts doing that, I'm going to challenge him on it. And that little back and forth between me and judge is going to be on the record because I'm going to go on the record. So judge, you're telling me that I can't continue to ask questions of somebody who they're called as a witness who's clearly not telling the truth. You telling me I can't ask any more questions? And if we go back and forth, hey, it's on the record. That's something I'm going to appeal on. I'm going to appeal on. I'm going to say it's biased. And I'm going to say it in open. I'm going to, if we have to, hey, can we have a recess? I want this on the record. That's what you do. You go ahead and you do that. That's what you're supposed to do. You can't make friends out like that when you're in that situation. That's what you do. That's what you got to do.
Toby Shook said, okay, I'll just show this. This is my last photo. He cowered to the judge.
I'm not doing that. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going because I know in this particular situation, I already know I'm in the hole. And my whole deal is this. Let's say I do go in there and lose. But what if you made the error and that's the error that turns the whole case around? Then I get to do it over. Not only do I get to do it over, I get to do it over, and I already saw them how they were going to put their case on. So when I do it around the second time, I already know what they got. See, this is the thing with everything that I was telling people. You put them up there, all you got to do is convince one, because if you get a hung jury, who knows? Can you explain what happens in the appeal? What looks at and what's not? A lot of what's looked at is what was said in court, what was objected to, and what was not objected to. They're going to look at the jury selection. Was jury selection done properly? The Baston charges, well, when the 3 teachers got excluded, they were African American. Should a judge have allowed the state to exclude those particular jurors? What else are they going to look at? Certain objections that happened. Did the judge rule correctly in all the objections? They're going to also look at things like
There was only 2.
2 what? Objections?
Yeah, 2 objections.
The whole time?
Yeah. And you know, with Diddy's trial, every hour they have like objection, you know, Mark Agnifilo, they're going in, objection, Brian Steele, objection.
You fight every line. You fight as much as you can. You object as much as you can without being annoying, but you do it to protect you to protect the record. So that's number one. So if there were not a lot of objections, okay, that's gone.
So let me pause you. I think one of the objections, and I explained it tonight, there was a cookie cutter question format. Hey, was Austin the aggressor? No. Was Karmelo the aggressor? Yes. Was it self-defense for Karmelo? The witness would say no. Was it murder? Yes. Typically in New York, you can't ask those type of questions, but there was one objection, I believe, about self-defense. So can you really tell us what's the real deal when it comes to, you know, the witness determining if it's self-defense or not?
Now you can object to that, trying to say that's opinion. You know, you can object to that. You should object to that because it's you're asking them to make a conclusion to something that maybe they shouldn't be able to make a conclusion to. You should object to that. You should object to leading. You know, so there's just a number of things that you should be objecting to. In addition to that, you could say ineffective assistance of counsel, because some things are point blank that should be objected to and maybe were not objected to. So if your attorney does not object enough, and that could be a situation where that could be ineffective assistance of counsel. So, you know, that's one of the reasons that you can fight on. Typically, it looks like with the lower number of objections, they're going to be limited to the jury situation as well as ineffective assistance of counsel and maybe a couple of those objections. But it's going to be tough because if you didn't object or not, you didn't preserve the record. You just kind of let it go. So that's going to be tough. And most people don't understand. It's people think it's going to be easy to appeal. They bring up, that's going to be easy. They ain't had no black jurors. No, you going that's what kills me with this, right? Collin County is 11% black, man. Maybe 8% voting black. So 12 jurors, you're gonna get 1 if you're lucky, and that's like that's a potluck one. So if you don't get a black juror, if you don't get a black jury, you're not getting a black jury. You're not going to get a majority black jury. You're not going to even get a 25% black jury. If you do, that's good on a good day. You're not going to even get a 20% black jury on a good day. You're going to usually get 1 or 0. You're going to get 2 if you're extremely lucky. That's a panel of your peers. People think a jury of your peers all look like you. They don't. The other problem I think that is happening, I think there's why so much backlash, is because the way that Dallas County and Collin County and the Metroplex area is actually situated. What you have is you have a decent amount of African Americans that live in Collin County, but you have one of the largest hubs of African American population in the nation, which is Dallas, Texas. And you have the soon to be 3rd largest metropolitan area in the United States in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. and you have one of the most liberal counties sitting right next to one of the most conservative counties. And when you can get in your car and within 20 minutes be in Collin County from Dallas County, and one county you would have a chance to have 5, 6, 7, 8 black jurors if you're lucky, to having 1 or 2 if you're lucky. That's a problem because people that are talking about it typically live in the larger metropolitan area or live in the larger county. So more people are going to complain. But Collin County is just different from Dallas. The racial makeup is different. The culture is different. And you're going to have a different set of folks that are going to be judging you out there. So you have to get ready for that.
Okay, you have your next question there.
Question: once an appeal is filed, how long does it take for the Court of Appeals to hear the case? Once the appeal, or how long for the decision to be made? Once the appeal is filed, it's going to probably, the appeal probably will get filed anywhere from 3 to 6 months from now. The court will hear it within a year, probably. So you're looking anywhere from from the beginning to getting the actual decision, anywhere from, depending how quick they hear it, anywhere from 6 months, literally, all the way to a year and a half to 2 years. We just don't know how long that's going to take. But anywhere from 6 months to a year and a half, typically, maybe up to 2 years. So that's kind of what it's going to be.
Okay. So the question is, Mel, any insight on how the 2016 body cam was shown in court? Does things like that happen often? So I explained to them that when the Officer Cortez came in, his body cam, the timestamp said February the 10th, 2016, but it was April the 2nd, 2025. So you have any comment on that?
Oh, man, that's weird. That's weird. You don't want that happening. I don't know what was going on with the counter with that, but you definitely don't want that happening because it'll give the people the impression that you can put any time a date stamp on a video. And I think that's the state should have made make sure that looked right. But I don't know how that would happen, but it's not a good look.
The defense never called it out either. So
yeah, I would have. The whole court case was a sham from the judge down to the evidence. None of this making any sense. The people who know the truth need to speak up. The other part of it is I try to tell people, listen, this case definitely, you definitely have some concerns about how everything was handled. But at the end of the day, I try to tell people one simple thing. You got an altercation under a tent where somebody was pushed or either tackled. And you had somebody, they got stabbed in the knife of the heart that died. So unfortunately, there's a case there, but we need to know more. I just would have liked to hear from Karmelo. And you're right. The other part about Collin County, there's a lot of Asians and a lot of Muslim Americans there. There's a lot of different kind of folks that live in Collin County, not just white folks. While that's sad, he will be in court for that period of time to get a fair trial. It just takes a while with these appeals because Texas is a huge case. They have a lot of appeals. Very weird. What can be done in that case, Calvin? Will the appellant attorney have access to that misdated body cam footage? He probably will. But once again, it just kind of depends. But it was only told one way. Nobody was fighting. If you fight, you force information into people's faces. You make them think outside this box. That was never done. One of the things, like I told you, you gotta, to me, I would have liked to hear from Karmelo. I always tell people, yeah, you have a right not to testify, a constitutional right not to testify. But if somebody gets stabbed in the heart and they die, and it's a kid, do you think you're going to sit there an entire trial, testify? Not testify. You're going to have a whole bunch of witnesses come in on the other side and testify more than for you, and then you walk out of there not saying a word. I just don't see that happening. A jury, your peers, has nothing to do with race. You're right, completely. It does not have anything to do with race. What I try to tell people, when you move to a place like Collin County, those are your peers. When you move around those neighbors, they're your peers now. So when you move out to Rockwall, Dallas County, Collin County, Tarrant County, Denton County, Ellis County, those are your peers. So you can't go and say, well, I didn't get judged by my peers. Well, they're your peers now. So think about that. Question, if the Court of Appeals denies appeals, then it goes to the Texas Supreme Court. It could, and they could deny it, and it could go to the Supreme Court. They could deny it too. It just depends. If I needed a defense attorney, I want Mr. Johnson or someone like him. Thank you. Thank you, Texas Mom. Thank you. Can he appeal based on the way the defense representation? I know it's a long shot. That's what they call ineffective assistance of counsel. He could. But like I said before, and believe me, I'm not taking up for anybody. There was something there that made them not call Karmelo, and I just wonder what that is. Was it that he was inexperienced and they were scared that he'd get, like, really flustered up there? I don't know. But they removed 3 black jurors. That is one reason that you can try to get that appeal, depending on how that is argued. But that's one major argument I think the appeal attorney is going to make. They may sure an appeal will not be as strong enough because there was nothing preserved. Well, I can understand what somebody's saying about that. That's why you got to appeal. That's why you got to object more. Do you think that his appeal would be denied? It's going to be tough to get an appeal on this one. The jurors, that's a good area. If you get a good appeal attorney, they can do something with that. The ineffective assistance of counsel, depending on the admonitions that they gave him, that might be an area where they can go. But like I said before, one of the things, and I tell you, like I told Mel, I had this case one time, and I was sitting there, and this is back during COVID, where they were kind of having to broadcast all these trials, and I was in the situation where I couldn't call my client, and I couldn't ask a lot of questions because he had done some more stuff, and if I asked questions, they were gonna find out about that too. And it was a very tough situation for him because it looks like I wasn't defending him. And what I really literally was doing was making sure that he didn't get charged with other stuff. And he had a health issue that he did not want everybody to know about. And if I asked additional questions, that was gonna come out. So it was a situation where I really couldn't fight for him. And it was like the more questions I asked, it created more danger for him. And so it was one of those things where you just don't know what's in that background. I would like to know from Karmelo's mouth what happened. And that's the thing that kills me. A lot of people are fighting for Karmelo, but they don't know his story. And a lot of them have never heard his voice. And so that's the thing. Mel, what county did Karmelo and his family live in? Collin County. It's a county right outside of Dallas, up north. The lawyer was a good lawyer. There was no defense for Karmelo's actions. Does the fact that he couldn't testify mean that he couldn't reasonably defend his actions? Some. That's the thing. Some people will say that. He couldn't reasonably defend what he did, so he did not testify. Some people will say he wasn't going to be able to answer those questions in a way that was going to allow himself to defend himself. Some people are going to say he's young, so he couldn't handle the pressure of testifying. Some people are going to say maybe he had something in his background that prevented him from being able to get up there and testify. Those are the 3 areas where people are going to say, hey, that's why he didn't testify. Did Karmelo ever look like he wanted to speak? I don't know. But this is the thing where I'm going to tell everybody, and I said this before, and people can get mad at me. I had some young ladies get mad at me the other night, but I ain't going to change my mind. It don't matter to me. I'm going to still tell you the same thing. This is the law in Texas. If somebody pushes you, you don't get to stab him. If you do stab him because they push you, there's this law in Texas, there's proportionality when you have self-defense. You are allowed to use non-deadly force against non-deadly force. Somebody pushes you, you can punch him. Somebody pushes you, you can kick him. Somebody pushes you, you can hit him. But you can't use deadly force versus non-deadly force. Somebody pushes you, you can't shoot him. Somebody pushes you, you can't stab him in the chest because that's deadly force. If you do use deadly force when somebody uses non-lethal force against you, then you go on to the next test. You have to have a reason. You have to have a damn good reason. And ergo is a problem with Karmelo. Because he didn't testify, we never got that reason why, if somebody made contact with you or pushed you, that you went the extra yard to be able to get the multi-tool and stab him.
So Calvin, the guy Jay says Austin grabs him by the hoodie and starts to grab him and pull him out of his seat. So you're gonna let somebody pick you up on the
That's what
on metal bleachers? That sounds like it could be deadly if you hit your head. What if they're gonna flip you and body slam you?
that's exactly where I would have liked to hear Karmelo's story. And that's why, for me, I don't care what risk I had. If I'm Karmelo, I'm telling everybody that. Hey man, these guys bigger than me. I never got to get up. He pulled me by my hoodie. Or hey man, I was just sitting there. I didn't even get to get up, man. He ran over and tackled me. He ran over and did a football move on me. He ran over and grabbed me right under my shoulder and tried to control me. That's why I wanted to know what happened. And that's why it was very important for us to know what happened, because right now we're just taking guesses. We're taking guesses. And we can't get when somebody die, they're not going to let you take a guess. They're going to want to know. Yeah, you got a constitutional right not to testify. But if you think all them folk gonna walk in there crying, mama, daddy, friends from school, and you're not gonna tell them what happened that led to them, it's gonna have to be more than punch. And you gonna have to let them know, hey, he tackled me, I got seizures, he bigger than me, big guy, so that's why I stabbed him. I can understand that. I'm not gonna even be mad that you did it. Because I'm gonna be like, you know what, man, he is 80 pounds more than you. Man, he does look like he's been lifting weights. He's way bigger than you, way stronger than you. In my eyes, you had to do what you had to do, young man. Okay, cool. But if you don't tell me anything, if you sat there and let them 12, 13, 14 witnesses come right past you, and you sit there the whole time, don't say a word, you have a right to, but I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. So let me answer this question. Maybe I shouldn't, but anyway, it's just my interpretation. But I kind of felt like Karmelo, looking at him, that he was maybe being steered to believe he would win the case. So that's when they dropped that 35 on him. He fell apart. You know what I mean? So can you explain about giving your clients the right measure, give them the right anticipation?
Yeah, I try to be careful about that. And these are some things that I got to be careful. Because when I have these conversations with people, they get mad. And the reason why I'm going to tell you this, listen, if I'm Karmelo and I meet my client, I know he's not going to be able to testify or doesn't want to testify. Do I honestly think that he's going to go in here and we're going to have a trial and this kid dies and I'm not going to call him and he's going to walk up out of there? No, it's not going to happen. Realistically, no, that's not going to happen. Realistically, it's not going to happen. So I need to make sure that I don't get him convicted of murder. That's something I don't want to happen, because that exposes him to what? 15, 25, 35, 45 years, 50 years, maybe even more. He got 35 years. What I want to do is ask him, hey, what happened? And he can tell me it's self-defense, but I'm going to determine in my head, do I think I can sell the self-defense argument? Was it actually self-defense? Because he may think it's self-defense and I might say, I don't know about that. And let's say I break down to him, hey, man, you did too much. It's going to be a problem for you. I'm going to have to be honest with him. And I'm going to say, hey, man, look, well, let's not get you convicted of murder in here, because that's 5 to 99. Let me see if I can get you a manslaughter. Let me see if I can get you criminally negligent homicide. Let me see what I can get you so you don't end up on the hard, long end of the spectrum. And you have to be honest with your clients. Sometimes they're not going to like that, but you have to do what you got to do to make sure that they don't end up getting a long time, because if he got a manslaughter, he maxes out at 20, which means that 10 years he can come home. Or let's say he gets a manslaughter, he only gets 15 or 10, a 7.5 or 5. That way his life's not messed up. Right now, he got to go do 17.5 no matter what. That's a long time.
Okay, there's a question there for you.
What about Hunter? He didn't testify. That's something I thought about. But remember, Hunter could have hurt the state's case, but he could also help their case, because he can get up there and start crying about his twin brother being stabbed and dying in his arms and bleeding out. And he what if he completely breaks down and rolls up? See, the jury in Collin County, what you think about this, who are they going to be sympathetic to? Did you think about that for a minute? Think about that for a minute. That's why you don't call them. That's why you don't call them. Yeah, you can get some information out of him, but man, listen, if he goes up there and has a full breakdown and tugs at the heart of those jurors, you're going to be in trouble. Got to think about that. I'm upset Karmelo went the only call one, which was Karmelo. I get that. I get that. I do get that. And that's why I keep wondering, why couldn't he call his client? And there's only two reasons why you don't call your client. You feel like he can't handle the pressure of testifying because the lawyer may, switch him up, or he got something bad going on. It's one of those two things. They what? Calvin, is there a chance that Hunter can be? Yeah. Well, we don't have any evidence that happened that way. See, if Karmelo would have testified, maybe they did act together. I don't know. I'm not saying we don't have any evidence that they acted that way, but we needed more information. That's why I would like Karmelo I would have loved Karmelo to testify, so he can tell us, hey, not only did, Austin, Hunter came right behind him. It would have been great to know that information. Can it be reached out due to the fact that the judge, your father? Nope, that's not true. That's one thing I want to touch on. That picture allegedly showing the judge, the father, and the DA being friends, those people in that picture are not the judge, the father, and the DA. The only picture only person in the picture is the dad. The judge is not in that picture, and the DA is not in that picture, because I know the judge and I know the DA, and neither one of them was in that picture. That misinformation is being put out there, and I just think that a lot of people share that, and that shouldn't have happened. Thanks, Joe Brooks. I appreciate it. Mel, I heard something about the discrepancy video. Karmelo witness was that challenged. Mel, that's for you.
Okay, says I heard something about the discrepancy in the video with Karmelo's witness. Was that challenge? I'm not recalling exactly what you're referring to. If I think of it up, I'll come back to it. I'm sorry.
Let's take a few more. We'll take at least 2 or 3 more, and then I'll be done.
Okay. Right.
There was a female student who said at the time, at the end, is that Karmelo was known for fighting, but stabbing was wild. Well, see, this is the thing that I worry about. These kids in social media, their phones, their social media activity, I worry about stuff like that, because here recently, and like I try to tell people this conversation, some of these agencies got some of my clients' phones, and some of the stuff that's in there, man, I tell you, it's caused me in a couple of occasions not to be able to call my client up, and that's a problem. What if you're getting jumped by more than 2 people? Well, when Dominique Alexander did his interview today, he said Karmelo wasn't being jumped. That's exactly why I don't like non-lawyers in my camp. That's why I don't let them get in there. What I do is what I do. He didn't poke him. He didn't have control of the multitude, which caused the injury to the middle left finger. I don't know what that's about. Let's go to the next one. Multiple statements are permitted to defend against any member of a group perceived as threatening, even if the individual has not yet been attacked. But once again, he has to show that he's fearful of that attack. That's a whole nother reason why you got to what? TESTIFY. I need you to testify so you can tell me how you felt in the moment. That way you're justifying to be able to do that. He should have taken the stand. It could have cleared a lot for a lot of people. I agree that. Because that's the whole deal is like, in my mind, am I going to go to trial? And if I do I think I'm going to sit there, not testify, and have a good result? No, I'm not. That's not going to happen. But I think what happened is I think they did the press conference in the beginning, and at that press conference set them up for failure. Because when you did that press conference, all chances of a plea deal evaporated. You know why? Because when you did the press conference, you got on the news, and guess what happened? All of America saw your spokesperson get on there, and all of America put attention on Karmelo Anthony. And what you did was you plastered Karmelo Anthony's face for all of America to see. All of the state of Texas to see for sure. And when you did that, you spotlighted Texas, and Collin County definitely gonna look at it. And they was like, oh no, this is high profile. And so if you know Collin County, they're tough. They're tough on crime. So when you did that, you put a spotlight on a kid in a situation in a county that's tough on crime, and you let the whole world know that a student stabbed another student in the heart with a multi-tool, and it caused them to die.
So Calvin,
And you let the whole world know it, and you plastered the guy's face all over the world, and that created a situation where a decent plea bargain probably was not offered, and so it got messed up from the beginning.
so a lot of people, this is the big debate. I really want you to drive it home before we go.
So that's what it is, y'all. But Mel, I think that's it for me tonight. I got to get ready for tomorrow.
Are you able to hear me? No.
And that's it.
Can you hear me or no? You can't hear me? Let's see.
Yeah.
All right. In the audience, can you guys hear me okay or no? Let's see. I don't know what's going on here. Can you guys hear me? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. If not, I'm going to have to go out and come back in. Can you guys hear me or no? So you guys can't hear me? Okay. All right. So they can hear me. I'm not sure what happened. I guess Calvin can hear me. All right, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in today. I hope this conversation helped you in one way or the other. I see we have a lot of amazing people here. Don't forget to like the video, share, subscribe. Shout out to M. Wallen. We see Brian Golddigger. A lot of amazing people in the building. Thank you. Thank you. This was a great night. I hope we can come to some sort of understanding about some of the facts in this case. There's a lot of disputes, even about the video. There's disputes about the multi-purpose tool versus a knife. There's all sorts of things happening. We'll be live again tomorrow at News at Noon. No, actually, tomorrow I'll be in New York City covering the Knicks parade. So if you want to check it out, I'll be live streaming. Next week, I'll be in Egypt, giving you guys a tour of the pyramids and the Nile River and all of that good stuff. So if you want to see that, stay tuned to the channel. We have so many cases to cover. There was an update today with Luigi Mangione. I told you guys, right? I told you about 6 months ago, he was going to go the mental illness route. And so that's what was announced this week in court, that he's going to have that as his reason why he stood on the streets and shot Brian Thompson in the early morning, going on 2 years from now. So Thank you. We're going to cover that case. I'll be covering Yellow Beezy, Little Dirk, Luigi Mangione. We got Jay-Z's case coming up. We have so many cases, but too many to mention at this moment. We have a lot of new people here. I really do appreciate you guys tremendously. I hope this information, listen, I could be doing other things, but I chose to, in fact, I have to get up really early to be in the city tomorrow to set up to be filming. If you're going to be in the city, they are not allowing any backpacks, okay? So you cannot carry a backpack if you're going to be in New York City tomorrow covering the case. So hopefully that'll help you avoid a lot of trouble, because if you bring the backpack, they're going to send you out of there. Now, I have a press pass. Hopefully that gives me a few points, but they're probably going to keep that as a general rule of thumb. So we'll see what happens in regards to that. So thank you very much. I will continue to cover this case, probably not as much as I did tonight. If there's an issue that arises and you guys want, usually when you guys ask questions, I try to come up with an answer. One thing I do want to tell you guys, I want to cover more cases. I was recently out to cover Nancy Guthrie, but I do know that there's a lot of cases in the hood that needs to be covered. But why aren't we making more noise around these missing girls and boys out there, right? So we have a good unified way of communicating. If you do hear of a case that you want me to cover to shed some light on it, well, that's what I'm here for. And I have no problems pulling up, right? I'll pull up on it. Definitely. That's what we do. And I want to say thank you to my moderators. I know it's tough when I do these lives continuously every day for long periods of time. But anyway, thank you guys. Have a good night. I really do appreciate it. And I know I keep saying this, and a lot of people don't want to hear it, because typically when something like this happens, we want war and we want it now. But I'll tell you one thing, love is better than hate. And just like light, it pushes out darkness. So reach for love, reach for light, and let's try to figure out a way that we can elevate together. I'm going to try to come back with another live about teaching you some strategies about financing as far as the stock market. So if I have the strength, I'll be doing a members live about credit and the stock market and how to really excel at that level. I put together a nice little message for you guys. I'm going to try to do it tonight in a few minutes before I'm off in the morning to cover the Knicks in the big parade. Shout out to all my good friends, and you guys have a great night. Thank you. I really do appreciate you guys.
Different voices, but the same song. Living a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the thing remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days in sight. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. The colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.